All right. So we should be live now. Just gonna refresh my thing here. And yep, looks like we're good. I think. Yep, there we go. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Corey Loses, where today we are in fact finishing, or, well, continuing, maybe getting close to finishing, but probably not quite finishing, our playthrough as the Imperial Remnant in Thrawn Revenge Imperial Civil War 2.2, the pre-alpha version, in Operation Shadowhand. So, we are getting very close to the end of the campaign, so I figured it would be a good time to do a live stream again, because we haven't done one yet for this playthrough. And we're getting to the point where we're just sort of mopping up some of the enemy forces, so I figured I would start taking questions and all that sort of thing. But this may end up being a fairly long stream. It's the first one we've done all month. But yeah. So what we will do first, we took a lot of the space over these planets down here. So I think that's what we're going to go for first. Because we do have all of our ground forces already over this planet. But no secret, it is not out yet. But yeah, so I'll be watching the chat the whole time, and I will try to answer as many questions as I can. But then we'll go from there.
Order acknowledged.
So we've got some of those ground forces coming in here. We were making a bunch on Fondor. I'm not sure exactly what. Well, yeah, we haven't removed Praetors from PA. They'll still be able to build them. And Zavathon, I believe I answered your question in the comments, but yeah, the
complete.
skirmish will be updated as well, and the new factions will have their new units. The old factions will have the updated units. That'll all still be there. It's just in the demo, you're not supposed to be playing skirmish at all, so there was none of the work done to it there. But which is why the when we updated the version of the demo on Steam and also on Mod Database now, we just completely removed access to skirmish because people were still trying to do stuff in it and then complaining when it was broken.
Reporting.
And then they were also complaining that multiplayer didn't work or other GCs weren't there. Like, I really wish people would read stuff. But oh well.
On my way.
So yeah, before we get too far into this though, one of the things I want to do this week is I would like to start our New Republic playthrough this weekend. So
Advancing.
we're going to be doing the Back to War as the New Republic. It's a slightly smaller GC, so it shouldn't be terribly long.
Acknowledged.
But we'll be doing that, and I'm going to be putting up a video probably tomorrow about the patron ship names. We might be handling that a little bit differently in the next one. But I'll put up the video explaining all that.
Enemy forces ahead.
Choose your reinforcements.
That should be good. And unlike this one, all the starting forces are already set up in that one, so there shouldn't be the same issue with the AI not wanting to cooperate as much as they were in this playthrough, which is unfortunate, but these are development streams, so
Moving out.
sort of to be expected. Will the New Republic be getting new late area units? We don't really plan to add more units to the New Republic beyond what we already added in the demo. They have more units than pretty much anyone, and we've already covered, like, their build bar is essentially full, especially in later eras. If we were to add more, it would be completely overflowing, and really those units wouldn't serve any purpose. Plus, the only other ones that we haven't added for the New Republic are stuff like the new class some of the new class ships, which really only appear in the Black Fleet Crisis books, and they would all need completely new designs. So there's no reason to supplant some of the more iconic ships for that, when we need to do completely new artwork, including designing them in order to have them in the first place.
I understand.
On my
Like,
way.
a lot of them have stats, but that's about it. But yeah. Will the New Republic be answered? What are the custom heroes for New Republic? Well, the New Republic has like 40 or 50 heroes. There are some new ones compared to 2.1, but like I don't know too many of them offhand. Let's get back here.
Understood.
So, like, there's there was some lady in an endurance class at, I think it was the Battle of Orinda who we were adding, and there's 1 or 2 people, like Cian Sov, Firmus Nance, those kind of people. It's usually people who are relevant to specific GCs that we're adding for 2.2, as opposed to people, like, you probably won't see too many new heroes for the New Republic in Art of War or something like that. Maybe 1 or 2 if we swap them out, but they already had so many heroes that we're more focused on heroes for the individual GCs for them.
Unit destroyed. On my way.
Yeah.
Bombing run available.
This AT-AT wants to come help, that'd be
Be right
nice.
there. Moving to secondary position.
Initiate bombing run.
Support order acknowledged.
Like with the New Republic and Imperial Remnant, it's not so much about adding content for them this release, it's about polishing them and sort of fleshing them out in different ways. Like, we don't want to just keep piling stuff on, we'd rather work on quality-related aspects for them, because they're pretty much full, they're pretty well fleshed out. There's just a few gaps that they had in some areas, but that's more related to filling out what they need for certain story elements, like I said, as opposed to just like, oh, there's these 13 other units we can throw on there for no reason whatsoever.
Providing backup.
Michael, 2.2 will be available on Steam when it's released, but we're not giving out early copies, if that's what you mean.
I'll help any way
We
I
have
can.
started testing with our internal testing team, and we're going to be expanding that as we go, but that's still a relatively limited amount of people because
I'm with you.
it's essentially for organizational purposes. Like, a lot of people, they see beta and then they just like, oh, I'm going to play them on early, and that is very much not what we want to do. We're trying to get a smaller, select group of people who we can be more involved with the testing process with, rather than just like a bunch of people doing whatever.
Building under
So
construction.
that's essentially how we're handling that. But, yeah.
Tactical battle.
Will bombing runs count as friendly fire in 2.2? No, we pretty much removed friendly fire from all circumstances. The AI especially is terrible with it. Like, the AI has no way to know that it would kill their own units, so they don't really
System
take that into
lost.
account. Okay, we'll have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Tactical battle.
We do need more ground forces, because I'm basically just spreading out through space as much as possible, and then we only have the 1 army, really. See. You ever thought about replacing the Dark Jedi from Pedestal Line with Jarek's Dark Jedi group from the Dark Forces 2? Makes sense. Okay, so the reason we haven't done that is we would need to model, skin, and animate all of them. So instead, for now, like, there's some like Saris and Yun that are a bit easier to make, which we are doing. But for the other ones, we would have to do a ton of work for them, which we don't have the internal bandwidth to do.
We've located the enemy.
So that's why we went with generic Dark Jedi instead of making his specific ones in the previous releases, and why we're sort of sticking with that going forward. He also was in charge of a lot of the Inquisitors, so there wouldn't, like, he had his main group, but there also would have been other Dark Jedi that were serving the Pentastar alignment and led by Jarek outside of that group. That's sort of why those are there.
For the Empire.
Yeah. Are you going to keep uploading non-Steam Workshop copies of the mod? Yes. We will still be uploading to mod database, it's just we also have a Steam Workshop copy now as well. And we have no idea when Fall of the Republic will be ready. We haven't even officially started developing it on its own yet. We won't be working on Fall of the Republic until after 2.2 is released, because it will be built off of 2.2. Like, so I can't even tell you when we're going to be starting Fall of the Republic, much less when it's going to be done. Will the endurance for the New Republic be fixed? It currently deploys E-Wings and not Defenders at the I'm pretty sure it's always had E-Wings and K-Wings.
Retreat aboard.
The way all fighters spawn have been completely changed anyways, so none of that, any like holdover bugs from 2.1 would be gone at least. It should all be
Construction complete.
Heading to destination.
fixed or changed, so I don't know what we're going to do as far as the text descriptions for fighters, because they change so much every era, it does get very cumbersome.
AT-AT ready.
So we'll have to see what we ultimately decide to say for that. Almost done there. Let's get our hero fleet in.
Construction complete.
Multi-mod patch? Wait, what was that about the Black Fleet Corps? And the question does have... Oh. What are your recommended GCs to play when you're starting out with the mod? Thrawn campaign's usually pretty similar to the base game, and it's a bit more simple. There's not any SSDs. It's just 2 factions, and they start off on pretty even ground. So there's also the Katana Fleet mission, which is a good introduction for some of the story elements that we want to add in 2.2 and 2.3. Oh, just gonna auto-resolve this. But...
There they are! Blast them!
What abilities were you planning to give the World Devastator? We will... you cannot build battle droids. You will be able to in Fall of the Republic, but not in Imperial Civil War. And it is not possible to... we'll talk about the World Devastator abilities a bit later.
Calculating jump to light speed.
We have to finalize them, make sure it all works, and then we'll talk about them. We'll probably do a separate video on just that. As far as allying, you are not able to do anything that really resembles that. Like, you can set factions to be allied in the code, but it causes a lot of secondary bugs. It is not worth it.
Complete.
So, technically, yes, but
Tactical battle
effectively,
imminent.
no. Will other Imperial factions get Dark Jedi like in Era 3? Very few. Maybe in Era 3, but that'd be it. We wouldn't be doing that as like a regular unit for Zinj or the PA, or not the PA, the Right Authority or Meldrude.
We're on the move.
Are you playing the GOG or the Steam version? I always play the Steam version. Mods that say you shouldn't play the Steam version because it's unstable are not making their mod properly. They're not working within the limitations of the game. The Steam version, I've never had any more problems than any other version of the game, and usually the problems arise in mods that are putting in models that are way too high poly, textures that are way too high res, and just not taking into account performance when they're making the mod in the first place. So I've usually found that to be kind of a BS excuse. Like, when you're making the mod, take into account the fact that there are limitations to the engine. That is the model we made for Ascendancy. We ported it into ICW, and we kind of want to redo that at some point anyways. An updated version, slightly higher poly, because the Ascendancy version is fairly low poly, because Sims had a lot more memory limitations that we were trying to work around. But we still figured it looked better than the base game one, so we went with that. Previous versions of Empire and Era 3 didn't have vendors, Acclaimers, and Scimitars available for construction. Is supposed to change for all GCs, or is it this GC only?
Retreat aborted.
Typically, we're probably not going to leave Acclamators and Vendors in Era 3. They have so much other Imperial stuff that they could be using that
Construction complete.
they're unnecessary in this era. It's more for Era 4 and 5 that we use those. I'm not even sure how I have mine, but yeah, so that's going to be typically kept for Era 4 and 5. My favorite faction right now might be Meldrude. Well, my favorite faction is pretty much always the Empire of the Hand, but as far as the new factions go, it's Meldrude. I'm not even sure why. I think I just like the red color.
Construction complete.
Panzer, we already redid all of the pop cap for every ship in the mod. We did a news post about it, so again, that's another area where nothing's the same.
Invasion commencing.
I can't remember if we posted the exact details for it, but like, we completely rescaled all the pop cap. That's why there's a pop cap of 60 in space.
What can I do? Can I help?
Awakening Rebellion. I'm not involved directly with the development of Awakening Rebellion, so I don't know exactly when they plan to put it on the Steam Workshop.
Ready.
I think they're waiting until after 2.7's release or ready.
Yes.
But again, not I am
Choose your
not in any way
reinforcements.
officially involved with
On
that
my way,
mod.
Sam.
I'm just playing it for the
Setting
channel
course.
and testing it. The chat's moving a bit faster than I can watch it, so I'm not trying to avoid any questions. There are just some that
Construction
I didn't see,
complete.
Altom.
Right away.
Connecting all the worlds in your area, or would you go straight for enemy capitals and massive shipment production facilities? I mean, I usually just try to keep my territory together.
Stay close to me.
Because I prefer fighting bigger enemy stuff anyways. More fun than just winning outright. Like, you technically get more done faster by going straight for, like, Kuat and Mon Calamari or whatever. But unless I feel like I'm actually
ready.
losing, I usually don't bother.
Where do you need me, sir? I'll do my best.
Ready. Deploying.
Here. Again, Safe Pestage has been added, like, Era 1 and Era 3 have been split into, well, Era 1, 2, and 3 have been split into two halves. Sate is one of the leaders for Era 1, but Izzard still is. So you get Pestage first, then when Pestage is gone, or Coruscant's taken, or as the Empire, as you build Lusankia, then Izzard takes over.
System
And then there are some
conquered.
GCs that'll be set in just one half or the other half, but that's about it.
Constructing. Building
I
under
cannot
construction.
stand the Reckoning. That mod just annoys the shit out of me. Groundbreaking! I figured out three-way battles even though I just
AT-AT
put the
ready.
friggin' units on the map. That's basically how I sum that up.
Tactical battle imminent.
That sounds like a separate bug. The Katana mission definitely does work in 2.1. You might have just had a one-off bug there or something, but like, we've done it several times, and a lot of people have done it several times, so it should work. Okay. That was all fighters, so our hypervelocity guns wouldn't do
Vehicle
much
in
good there.
production.
Let's just get this back here so they can't do anything.
Construction
More
complete.
ready.
Tactical battle imminent.
Scimitars you probably won't be able to build in Era 3.
Construction complete.
Yeah. There.
Helmsman, come about.
I have used the Eclipse a lot in the last 14
Tactical
episodes.
battle
13
imminent.
episodes? This would be episode 14, but... how often do you spend doing Imperial Civil War? I spend, like between YouTube stuff and modding stuff, I probably spend 8 to 12 hours a day. So that's split between recording, but also working on ICW
Glance of
and
ready.
Ascendancy. So a lot of time, I guess. You definitely don't want tips on how to play from me.
En route.
Enemy unit
What
sighted.
kind of story plots are you going to make for the Clone Wars era? We won't be talking about anything specific for Fall of the Republic until we actually start developing on that. So aside from the stuff that's already been posted in news
Choose
posts,
your reinforcements.
we're really not giving out that much information because a lot of it is still being planned and it's really just art assets being worked on. We don't have like an actual build of the mod ready, and we won't be deciding on that kind of stuff until we are directly working on it,
En route.
because we do want to focus on getting 2.2 out first.
Proceeding. All gun crews reporting. Moving out.
I guess this would be better off turning around there.
Orders, sir. Quick.
Gun batteries
More
ready.
enemy craft.
Good, and
Choose your reinforcements.
En route.
Taking fire.
go.
Commander, they're hitting us.
command.
Era 5 has 4 GCs. We'll be doing the news post for that next, though.
Intensify laser fire.
Retreat aborted.
So that'll be pretty soon, hopefully. But yeah, that will be the next thing we talk about. There'll be some other updates in that post, but there's 2 that were in 2.1, and then there'll be 2 new GCs in that era as well. But hopefully we'll get that update out sometime in October, that news post.
Invasion commencing.
My favorite feature of IC, like if I had
Look,
to
sir,
pick a
it's
single
them.
thing, I guess.
Ready.
I don't know.
All right, men, take cover.
Hard to pick a single thing for that.
Choose your reinforcements.
I understand.
Destination set.
You think 2.2 will launch before the new year? We would like it to, but it's really impossible to say
Don't underestimate.
anything about when mod will release because there's just so many variables. It could be before then, it could be after then, it could be on New Year's Eve. Like we've done that before, I think. So like really, any information I give on that is just a complete 100% lie, and there.
Skywalker here. Commander
Any release
Skywalker
dates we can
reporting.
try to give would just end up being wrong entirely.
I am a Jedi.
So there's
Armor transport ready.
very little
Choose your
point in even trying to figure
On
it
my
out
way. Inputting
from our
coordinates.
end.
Maximum
Advancing.
unit capacity.
You're gonna do more GCs with more choke points, like example, 1 planet can lead to 3 planet. There's plenty that work like that
Awaiting
already.
orders. On my way. Reporting in.
So I don't know what
Destination
specific
set.
situation you'd be thinking about there, but considering
Awaiting your
there's
signal.
like 20 GCs, there's a lot of different combinations
ready,
and
sir.
layouts that are there.
Scanning area.
So probably.
Yes, sir. Squad, advance. Affirmative.
We're not sure what we want to do with the MTC, ultimately. It's a terrible unit, it looks terrible. It's really only there for story reasons, or for lore
Roger
reasons.
that.
And buffing it up doesn't really make much sense, considering what the unit was, considering that it wasn't a directly combat-related unit.
Affirmative. On the move.
But we want to make it useful in some way. We used to think about making it a carrier, but we may do that. We may try to think of other abilities for it, but really
Awaiting
it's...
your orders. Target acquired.
Right now it's just sort of there.
Skywalker reporting. I understand.
We would
Reporting in.
like to do something for it, but it's
Scouting area.
a tricky one. Because like you don't, if we just gave it a straight combat buff,
Engaging enemy.
then you just end up with a situation where it's just another strike cruiser,
Transmit the order.
and
You'll
that's
find I'm full of surprise.
super redundant. It'll end up in like the strike cruiser
attack.
Carrack
Fire.
situation, and there's already like 7 other things in that area.
Reporting in. Right away.
Well, I don't want to just sit here and slaughter Celestians. That seems rude.
Roger that.
And there.
Bombing run available.
You ever thought of adding Rook? We used to have Thrawn on the ground, but I think we're better off just leaving him as a space-only hero and not involving Rook. Oh, we went all the way past this. But as long as Thrawn's on the ground, or as long as Thrawn's only in space, we probably wouldn't
You're overconfident.
add Rook.
You're weak. I'm going on my way.
Just keep like references to him.
Awaiting orders. Fall out. Let's move out. Inputting coordinates. Target acquired.
Question.
System
I'm-
conquered.
Do Celestians live in caves? Is that a
Beginning
thing?
Construction.
I feel like that's not a thing. I feel like Petro made that up.
Constructing. Building started.
Mauler ready.
Might as well. Well, the MTC sort of has to be there for lore
Construction
reasons.
Complete.
Making it a repair ship when like we would like to incorporate repair in some way. The problem is that most of the time that would be entirely useless, because for larger ships, what do I want to use for this? Let's go with the Executor fleet, I guess. Yeah. With larger ships, they tend to lose the hard point in the first little while, so at most you're going to be repairing half of a hard point. And they're not going to be... You'd have to make the buffs, or the repair buff, so high that it's used more tactically, so it's increasing the health of the ship effectively as opposed to actually repairing it. Because you can't restore the hard points.
Reporting. Heading out.
It's... So repair's always kind of been a weird mechanic in Empire at War space if you use hardpoint ships. Like for Phoenix Rising, they don't make targetable hardpoints, and I think a repair ship would be more feasible in that situation. But since we do use hardpoint mechanics, it's kind of difficult to build around that, or to repair around that. Star Wars Racer Revenge? Is that a thing? Never heard of that before.
Yes, my lord. Understood.
Heading out.
Go after them.
Where did you guys get the inspiration for the Empire of the Handships? Well, we designed them ourselves. The first one that we made in that style was the Phalanx, and it's basically designed after Grievous if he were laying down and with his neck stretched out. That's essentially what I was going for with that.
I'm on my way.
Which sounds weird, but it's what I did, so... Black Arthur, the GC editor probably won't be released until quite a bit after 2.2 is released, because we're
ready for recon.
the version that we're using internally
Moving to that area, sir.
wouldn't be super user friendly for people who don't already know significant amounts about modding. We're just using the parts of it that are useful for us right now, and it'll still be iterated upon as we go. But
Turret constructing.
I copy.
yeah, so if we released it right now, it wouldn't be that useful for a lot of other people who don't already know how to do this stuff manually.
Reporting. This way.
So we'd like to get it out as soon as possible, but it won't be included with
Over
2.2,
there.
and it probably won't be until a little bit after 2.2.
Construction complete.
Incoming.
If the Black Fleet Crisis did the Duskin League had things that were in the books, but you're not going to put them in? No, we've got pretty much everything from the books.
Scout
The only thing
correct.
is we've got to make
Ready.
the EXF. Oh god. Artillery. No, stop it.
Yes, sir. Enemy
The only thing is
sighted.
we've got to
On
put
the
in
way.
the artillery, or not the artillery, the Saranin EXF, and that is basically one of the models that we don't have
Enemy
done yet.
spotted.
And
Hostiles.
it'll be a situation where if everything else is done, then we're not going to delay the mod just for that one ship. It's also supposed to be on the Greater Maldrude roster,
Attack that target.
but
Attacking
generally we're more
target.
concerned with getting the other kind of features in and solid instead of worrying about
Yes, Commander. Scanning area.
specifically getting all the individual ships in, because for the most part we're not lacking in stuff. It's just stuff that would be nice to have, and we can just, that kind of thing we can add in future versions if we have to.
Target acquired.
Pelion, there will be a GC
Enemy
built
sighted.
around the Reaper and all that stuff,
Ready.
Our base
On the
is
move.
under attack.
but that'll be something we talk about with the Air 5
Laser
breakdown.
tower destroyed.
Yes, sir.
What have we not killed?
Let's go. Right away. Fire for maximum effect. Enemy spotted. Ready to go.
Most Empire War mods don't do much with Lewis scripting,
Moving out.
which is the more like actual, what you think of with actual programming. Most of it is like XML stuff that people do. But the biggest workload is usually on the art side
Fall out.
and the testing side.
Fire! Open Let's move out.
Unit destroyed.
Attack that target. Affirmative, sir.
Unit
Oh.
destroyed. Unit destroyed.
I am the creator of
Our
TRS.
base is under attack. Barracks destroyed.
Alright, this isn't gonna work.
Power generator destroyed.
So we'll have to come back and retake this. What heroes are you adding for the Crimson Empire event?
System lost.
We
Construction
haven't
complete.
fully fleshed that out yet, so not 100% sure.
Battle imminent.
Why are they starting to attack now? Why are they doing this to me?
Full speed.
Construction complete.
I liked them when they were losing and not doing anything about it. I just want to win, y'all. But, like, there'll be Carnor Jax, obviously, and then...
Always ready, sir.
probably Kirkanos worked in somewhere.
Choose your reinforcements.
On my way, sir.
If they were relevant, we'll probably end
On
up
my
doing
way.
them. But that's not something that we've worked on as much yet,
Keep going.
so I don't have a direct
Yes,
answer
sir.
for that.
Deploying stormtroopers. We've come across enemy units.
We don't use Evil Jedi's models. We don't use any outside models except for like one or two if we can. Like, we don't use them if we can help it. So
Yes, Commander.
we have no
wish,
plans to
General.
just take
We'll cover
Evil
you.
Jedi's models for it, Michael.
Right away.
What made you come up with the idea of Thrawn's Revenge? I don't know. I was 13 at the time. I thought it would be a good idea,
Affirmative, sir.
and
Reinforcements
retroactively
canceled.
or retrospectively, maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Maximum unit
Coordinates.
capacity.
There was another mod at the time called
Walker,
Legacy of
moving to
War,
attack.
which
Targeting at
was
maximum
it covered the
firepower.
post-Endor period as well,
Activating.
and that was the first mod that I'd ever seen.
In my sights.
So that was one that I was watching, and then
Cannons charged.
it's
Reporting in. This
didn't
way.
release. Does this mod not, or does this map not have a power
Over
gen
there.
position?
Attacking target.
Weird.
Scouting. Fire at will.
So I ultimately ended up being like, oh, I should do something. And like my initial thing
my
was
way.
just to add Thrawn as a hero because he wasn't in the
Yes,
game.
Commander. Coordinates.
And then ultimately it just kept ballooning out of control.
Ready.
And now 11 years
Moving
later,
Attack.
Bombing
Still
run
working on it.
available.
Bombers at the ready.
The enemy has been defeated. Planetary control achieved. Building under construction.
no, we never really thought about adding all the different infantry types from Force Unleashed because there are so many, and infantry can only serve so many different roles in Empire at War
Beginning construction.
that it's kind of redundant to have that many. So like we've got the army troopers now. We want the Pentastar enforcers, we were using Navy troopers for before, but really having like 37 types of
Tactical battle imminent. Construction
different infantry.
complete.
which is essentially the Force Unleashed. Like in Force Unleashed, it's an FPS, so you can have different types of enemies like that, and that's kind of what you want. But in EAW, there's only so many small stat differences you can make to that, and ultimately
Invasion commencing.
they serve the exact same purpose. Why are there no missions in Thrawn? Well, there's the Katana mission in 2.1 and previous versions, but the important thing with missions is that they are not easy to do. We're doing a lot more with 2.2 and then fleshing them
You're
out
in
more
this
with 2.3, but they take a ton of work. Like the Katana mission took months. We are using the objective panel
Choose your
for more in
Inputting
2.2, but in 2.1 we were
Destination
using
set.
it for the or for the structure display in space. So if you brought up the objective panel when you were zoomed in on a planet, it would tell you what you have in orbit there,
Keep going.
and then it was cleared out afterwards. But in
Choose your reinforcements.
2.2 we are using it for
Unit capacity.
Copy.
for the mission and storyline stuff. But like With the mod, we have 20 GCs and we have 8 playable factions.
Targeting.
So if we did even one short mission or storyline for each faction in each GC, you end up with 70. You end up with like 2 or 3 times as many as if you were to combine the entire story campaigns of Empire at War and Forces of Corruption for the 3 playable factions. Which is why it might seem a lot thinner on story than it ultimately is, and why we're focusing so much with 2.2 and 2.3 on expanding that. Because it is a ton of GCs and a ton of factions, and we want to flesh that out as much as possible. But there's really only so much that's possible to do in a short period of time. You make the model for Saran class and texting. Well, as we've said before, Michael, we are using the tag Battlecruiser as the source for the Saranin class. We wouldn't be making both, we'd just be making tag, and it would be the Saranin. With Fall of the Republic, do you have any plans to deal with the many droid types for the CIS?
Construction complete.
Well, like I said, we don't have all the specific plans for Fall of the Republic set out yet. We will have the main types. We won't be working on like 37 different types of droids that serve no purpose, though.
Construction complete.
Our goal with that is to go for quality over quantity, and that's increasingly been our focus with Imperial Civil War as well. Whereas, like, our goal, some people would prefer that we just add every single thing they can find a page for in Wikipedia, but that is both tedious, it's pointless for gameplay, and it reduces the overall quality of the mod. It makes it harder to manage all the content. It makes it harder if we have to redo something. We'd rather put the effort used in making that content into polishing existing content or fleshing stuff out that's a bit more useful for gameplay.
Construction complete.
Rather than spreading everything out so much.
We shall be there shortly.
Bondor has a bunch of
battle imminent.
like, they haven't been attacking in space as much. We have a level 3 shipyard and we have an HV gun, so I'm less concerned about that. Well, with SSDs, the only ones I think we've added in 2.2 is the Bellator. So there's still Eclipse, Sovereign, Viscount, Bellator, Executor.
Orders.
Are there any others? No, I don't think so.
Ready for
Unless you want to count like the
sir.
Praetor as an SSD, because it's like 4,800 meters. It's close. I would like to finish this GC in the live stream if we can, or get close. Maybe one episode left.
Commander. Heading out, sir.
Enemy forces ahead.
Yep, nope, wrong button. Wanted reinforcements.
Choose your reinforcements.
Oh, this isn't the Executor fleet.
Navigating to coordinates.
Gonna have to be a little bit careful, I guess.
We're on the move.
It would be nice to use the interdictor here if we can.
Commencing
I just don't know if we have the actual capability to destroy all these fighters.
Cruiser reporting.
Where'd he go? Nowhere to run. Falling out of formation.
Yeah, so with the diplomacy thing, for those not reading the chat,
He's about to be
that we've spoken about before, as Fox just said, we are sort of looking at it again to see what we actually wanted to do. Because it ended up being a thing that worked technically, but it wasn't adding as much for gameplay. It was just sort of there, and we'd rather not just have features that are there for their own sake.
on my way.
So that'll probably be something we look at more for 2.3.
Tactical battle
Something.
imminent.
Is there a way to make the camera in ICW more zoomed out like in AOTR? We've already zoomed the camera out more in 2.2 than it was in 2.1, but I don't really think we'll go as far back as AOTR does. Like, you can still do the thing in TR where you zoom even farther out, but it... Beyond what we have here, I don't really see too much benefit in going like farther back. Like, you can always
Yes, Commander.
do the really far zoom back thing, but
Right away.
I prefer slightly closer like this.
Standing by.
And as far as the people have asked about the galactic level as well, you can't change the zoom level like you can in tactical battles. You are stuck with the one zoom level, and on the galactic map, if we zoomed it out anymore, the planets would be completely scrunched together.
We've located the enemy.
We're doing what we can to try to address how closely packed together some planets are in some GCs, but like I said before, there's 20 GCs and there's 250 to 300 planets, so it's a bit harder to pick one layout and setup that works for all GCs. Thorny and I have been doing what we can, but there's sort of a balance you have to get between the core and the outer rim as well, where if you were to scale everything to be zoomed properly and less messy in the core, you end up with these like multiple screens worth of empty space for the outer rim, and we're just trying to figure out where exactly we want to go with that balance, because like unfortunately there's no way to even code it so that you can be like, oh, I'm in the core so I want to zoom in at this level, I'm out here, I want to zoom out more. It's just not possible in ICW, but oh well. Mike, that's a bug called the selection freeze bug. Petroglyph fixed it in the latest in the new ICW patch for the Steam version, but it is a bug with the engine, so there's nothing we can do about it for other versions of the game, like the disc version. We did release a tool for that before called the defreezer that can retroactively fix save files after it's happened, but it is a bug with the engine. It's not a bug with the mod, so we can't directly fix it.
This way.
Yeah, we know that we are doing that, Matt. That's what we were talking about. It has those in 2.2. It has the overview, but
Over there.
in 2.1, every GC is just destroy every other faction. So there's not really much extra tactical information
Choose
that
your
can be
reinforcements.
as far as the overall GC.
On my way, sir.
Reinforcements en route.
Moving
At
out.
maximum unit capacity.
Moving out. Advancing. It's Skywalker. Approach with caution.
Well, Mike, if you have the Steam version, it'll work already in the demo. Again, it's not something we can change directly within the mod. It's just within... It's a bug within ICW that exists. The defreezer will work with save files from the demo from 2.2 from any mod, and that'll be what you need to use if you don't have the Steam version of the game.
I'll help any way
But
I can.
if you do have the Steam version of the game, the patch
Over
for
there,
Empire
you
at
got
War
it.
will have fixed it already, so it should work
I see
already.
it. Be right there. Heading there now.
Chardon, it was a minor shipyard, Michael, so we've got it as a level 2,
I'll be there.
as opposed to
There they
level
are.
3.
Blast them.
Reporting.
Like the level
There
2
they are.
shipyards tend to be places that
Roger that.
either did have shipyards or were
Form up.
semi-important.
Heading out.
Providing backup. Squad.
No Go Sniper, they only made the patch for the Steam version. Something to do with distribution rights, I think, but
Blast them.
you might even be able to copy like the exe files and have it work, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Fire.
Stay close
And it
to
would
me.
be illegal to redistribute those,
understand.
so you can't really get them from anyone else that has it.
Last mistake they'll ever make.
Nope, you need to turn around. Oh right, so the thing that happened with this, where some of the changes I made got reverted, is because I synced my changes, and then I had to revert to an older version of the mod, which, because some of the newer changes made by the other team members were incompatible with my save file,
All out, troops.
so I ended up
There they are.
being...
I'll get 'em.
because I had to then revert back and my changes were now ahead of all the other changes, I lost all the changes I had made during the playthrough, which is unfortunate, but that's what ended up happening. So I'm actually playing on a separate copy of the mod right now from the main development one, which has the last place where the save file was compatible with the development version.
Run available.
Ready to receive orders.
But there's a lot of stuff that you're seeing right now which has already been changed or fixed. There's a lot of stuff with like unit speeds. Some of the infantry bugs have been addressed. The tank droid not being able to run over stuff. And obviously the infrastructure at the start of the Shadowhand campaign has been increased, and it's that's the main reason why the AI was less intent on doing stuff, or less active. Alright, so let's leave those there for a second while we build that up.
Beginning construction.
Build up some stuff on Fondor. Nope, not you. I
Constructing
want
unit.
a lot of you.
Reporting.
Construction complete.
Then why did it... Why did what... Oh, Chardin? Level 2.
Construction complete.
Yeah,
Constructing.
well, we don't really need more credits. Don't really need more ships. We just need more ground units. So where do we have... let's get some from there. Akasi, did we build? Yes, we built some stuff there.
Constructing unit.
This end of the galaxy we're kind of losing out on stuff, which is unfortunate, but we should be able to sweep around and clean that up. Clorox them away.
Complete.
This stream is not sponsored by Clorox, but if they would like to sponsor this stream, then I'd be okay with that. I will sell out.
Mauler ready.
That's good, that port. How does your team converge all your stuff together? Yes, we use GitHub. So I actually paid for a GitHub account, a premium GitHub account. So there were about 2 years where had people search for it, they would have been able to find the internal repository for Imperial Civil War. But we figured no one would ever find it. So it wasn't until we started doing the Open Ascendancy beta, where we just posted a link to the repository, that we actually closed it off and made it so that you had to actually be part of the development team or added by me to download the mod. So people could have, for all I know, someone may have found it and just never said anything. But I don't think so.
Let's move out.
Arkan, do you plan on doing any Stellaris shipbacks? I don't play Stellaris much at all, so I don't know that I'm ever really going to bother porting any of our stuff to Stellaris. There's plenty of Star Wars shipbacks as it is, so I'm less concerned about it from that perspective as well. I don't know how necessary it is for us to do it.
Where do you need me?
You guys go. No,
On my way.
no, Luke.
Be right there.
They want to leave.
At maximum unit capacity.
Reporting. Keep going.
What's your opinion on porting models? We never do it. I usually dislike it strongly when other mods do it. It used to be a reason for your mod to get taken off of ModDB and not be allowed to be downloaded from anywhere. It's people not making any of their content. So there's mods that are just giant piles of ported models that don't do anything for gameplay, and for me, I don't see the point. That's basically how I feel about that.
Awaiting your signal. Right.
You have 30 or 40 mods that are using just piles of all the same models, because once it's in one mod, then another mod will take it, and then it just turns into the same mods doing, or a bunch of different mods doing the exact same thing.
I'm on them.
And then complaining when other mods don't let them use their models. Which,
Yes,
wah.
sir. This way.
Order, sir.
Yeah, this map is awful. And Train Lover, we didn't actually make this map. This was the base game Moonlands map, so I am not in any way offended by people not liking it. I usually auto-resolve when I see a planet has this map. But I figure there's not much on it, so may as well.
Bombing run available.
Comlink active.
Planetary control achieved.
Well, even if it is the Empire of the Hand, I don't play Stellaris, so me actually putting the ships in and balancing it or any of that would require a bit more investment in the game from my end. And like, I do want to cover some mods for the channel, which might get me a bit more into it, but as it is, I just don't play the game much, so modding it isn't really something I want to invest more of my time into. We were going to do it before, when I thought I'd be playing a lot more Stellaris than I ended up actually playing.
Beginning construction. Unit in production.
Yeah, it's the Vanilla Moonlands map. You guys make a custom model for the army troopers. They're actually a kit bash version of some infantry that was already in the game, and then I think Delta got permission to use some assets like chest plates from another guy
Moving to sector.
that I don't remember the name of offhand.
Understood. Moving to sector. Carrack en route. Understood.
Choose your reinforcements.
The enemy has been spotted.
At once.
At once.
How big is the development team?
Reinforcements cancelled.
That
Fallout.
is a slightly tougher to answer question than you'd think. Because like there are people who are on the team but who are either new and haven't done much yet, or are inactive, so I don't know if we'd count them. But for Ascendancy, you have the coding team, which would be me and Bane. For ICW, you have the coding team of me, Slorny, and Pox, and also Jorit now. So that's what, 5 people so far. Then you have Oswolf, who does the UI for Ascendancy, though he's been fairly busy lately. You have Code User, or Dr. Knickers, Nielsen, Sleverd, Endkar,
Waiting orders. All fighters attack. Attack!
If I forget someone, I'm going to feel really bad. Elliot, who are artists, though Endkar and Nielsen and Elliot have been fairly busy with other stuff lately and haven't done as much this year. I think Elliot did the Eclipse, and before that, the last thing he did would have been the Von Calamari ships for the Ascendancy release. So he's been mostly absent. And then Code User does a lot of the effects as well.
Copy. Attacking. Intercepting. Targeting.
Then like people like Endkar, Robin, they'll throw in a model here or there. Max Loaf joined for Fallen Republic.
Watch him. He's coming around.
It really just depends on when you ask, honestly, how big the development team is.
For the Empire. I'll take care of this.
There's, I'd say 15 people that are on the team, and usually about 8 who are active between all 3 mods. Yeah, Naval Warlord. The 2.1 build is the latest full build, and then 2.2, the version that is currently available, is the demo. And what I am playing in this stream is the development version of the full 2.2.
What are your orders?
Cover me now.
Moving to sector.
Which models are you using from other people? Well, we used to use the Battle Dragon from Evil Jedi.
Acquiring target. Location plotted.
There's a couple props that we actually traded Republic at War for, so there's some stuff that we gave Raw and then Xerox gave us in return. I want to say the Bull Rancor was one of those, and then there's a few lights, or we gave them lights and Xerox gave us, yeah, we gave them lights and Xerox gave us some of the props that were used on the Borleus map, like the, I think they're from the Republic at War Boz Pity map, and then the most of the stuff that we've used from other people would be like Farseer, because Farseer was on the team for a while, so he did stuff like the Heteronar bomber, or the Mito bomber in Star Home. He also did the Chaff skin and the Phalanx skin, but then there's stuff like Brachus and Corrin Horn, Brachus, and the Sentry tank that are directly from Rise of the Mandalorians. That was when I was also working on his Halo mod for him as well, so it was more of a trade there as well.
Instructions
But
received.
I think that's most of it.
Roger.
There's a full list in the README with all the credits. Sierra Ken. When am I planning to end the stream? I want to get as far through this campaign as we can, so it'll probably be going on for a while. There's how many planets left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe? I can't count, so roughly 10. I think that, yeah. I think that was like, what, 2009 or something? Whenever Campaign Commander was being actively made, I was working on a lot of the UNSC stuff with Farseer.
Ready.
Then he was involved in TR making some of the skins and stuff for us.
Got it.
But Farseer is like the biggest example of us using outside content, even though technically he wasn't outside when we were starting to use this content.
Transmission
Construction
received.
complete. Construction complete.
Battletoads? No,
Ready to
I
go.
do not. I'm aware of its existence as a thing.
On my
However,
way.
I do not have it. This is weird. So Nukov is one of the planets that we actually made a map for, and I think when Sloney did the first pass on maps, he might have removed it. But I don't remember. I think this is the Exocron map or something, and I don't remember this map. Or is this Bakura? No, this is the Bakura map. I don't remember Nukov being necessarily worse than Bakura.
Choose your reinforcements.
On the way. On my way, sir.
I'm going.
But that's one of the things I actually want to do this weekend. Before I start the New Republic playthrough, I'm going to be going through... I'm going to be doing a second pass on all the mod maps and all the base game maps, seeing exactly which ones we want and which ones we don't want, and then swapping them in or out wherever we feel like. So that'll be something that me and Thorny have to do together for the most part, but as far as like just going through and picking the maps, that'll probably be something I do tonight. So stuff like the Coruscant map that we have in the mod, it's just so big,
Transmit the order.
so we're probably going to revert back to using the base game map for that. Then there's some stuff like Fondor where the base game map was better. And there's some maps that we use a lot, like our Commodore map,
Landing zone.
which we'd rather probably use less.
En route.
Destination set.
And there's some maps actually seem like we use them more than we do. There's one map in the mod that we use 5 on 5 planets out of 250, and then there's 2 that are used on 4. Most are used on 3 or 2, and then there's like 50 that are used on 1. But just because of how some of the planets are connected,
Over there,
and
you
some of the
got it.
planet frequencies in different GCs,
Enemy unit
they actually seem like they're used in more places than they are.
Be right there.
But we want to sort of look at which GCs are, or which planets are in the most GCs, and hopefully we'll be able to spread that out a little bit more, so there's a bit more variety in the maps that you're playing on, and it doesn't feel like you're playing on the same ones all the time, which it can sometimes feel like just because of, like I said, the spacing in the GCs, or which specific planets they're used on.
Moving to that area, sir.
But yeah, okay, I haven't looked at the chat in like 2 minutes.
Heading out. Fallout troops.
You considered splitting up a large map into 4 smaller ones to use for 4 planets. There might be 1 or 2 where we're able to do that, but there's actually a lot of work that would go into
Yes, sir.
fixing it up for use in that way.
Let's go.
Like the Corelleg map, the Carda map would actually be a nice one to do for that. But up until this week, we actually didn't have any other mappers. Well, like I used to make maps, but I've mostly stopped to focus on other things.
Come on, man, this way.
I'll usually work on either coding or art now, and my mapping skills weren't the best.
Destination set.
So
Away.
now we've got Night Raven, who is trying out to be a mapper, and then we have Rogue Leader 23, who just joined as a mapper as well.
Proceeding to target. On
So
my way, sir.
we're probably going to be making 1 or 2 new maps for 2.3 or 2.2,
Run available.
but
Walker moving out.
I don't know if we're going to use that new mapping
As you
bandwidth
wish,
to
We'll assist you.
to cut apart some of the existing ones.
Keep going.
Because usually if some are just too big, we'll still hold on to them as long as it's not too common.
Right away.
But for some, like the Commodore map, it would be nice to just get one half of the canyon and the
Moving
starting
out.
position, so you're not just going all the way through and up the other side and have those two extra areas to deal
Reporting
with, because that's usually what makes it terrible.
Moving out. Advancing.
Hey there, shotgun. But yeah.
AT-AT ready. Heading out.
Oh, there we go.
Open fire. Yes, sir. All out, troops.
Yeah, you guys
Let's move out.
go see if there's
Roger
anything
that.
else. Are those V-wings?
Squad, move out. Right away, sir.
Armor transport ready. Let's go.
But yeah, one of the biggest things we're going to be working on going forward for both 2.2 and 2.3 now,
Warm up.
We are victorious.
because of the changes with the... Well, apparently you could always put the AI files into meg files within the mod and it would load, but now Petroglyph has made it with the new update that any AI perceptual equations will be loaded into the mod files now, which is something we've always avoided touching, just because it would mess, like, it was harder for people to install, so we didn't want to rely on it, and it would mess with other mods, which is why Republic at
Let's
War
move
breaks every other mod's AI. But now it should load in the mod files, so it's going to be something we work on a bit more. We were already playing with the scripts, so we removed some of the dumber behaviors, which currently has the side effect of there'll be some times when it seems like the AI is doing less, but it's just because we've removed some of those behaviors and there's nothing that's really taking their place just yet. Like the ones where the ships would just sort of pack themselves under Golans, because the base game had a command for the AI where if there was any kind of secondary structure in space, which we use for Golans, but they used for like the gravity well projectors and whatnot,
En route.
the AI just used this guard command on that structure.
Understood.
So that's why they just sort of hide under the Golans. So that's gone, but it also means we need to
Right away.
write some other behaviors for them to use in those situations now.
Yes, my lord.
Which will take a little bit more effort and time than just
Let's go.
the removal process, which was mostly just commenting out a line or two of code. So that'll be something that we're still working on for 2.2, as well as 2.3 going forward. We'll have to do a bit more of it.
Commencing.
Under control.
But that's also why you'll sometimes notice in some of the battles, it'll seem like some units aren't doing as much as they used to, is because in those times before,
Attack.
they would have been just retreating back to the stations, and occasionally that would involve turning around to shoot at stuff, where now they just shoot within their generic response range. Well, Kenlin, if you are having issues with AI in other mods when you have Republic at War installed, that's why. It doesn't happen 100% of the time, but
Ready to go.
that's why. That's why that would happen.
Tactical battle imminent.
It still isn't the fleet with a lot of Lancers. We're going to need that fleet. Yeah, if you get the version of Republic at War from the Steam Workshop, that only keeps everything self-contained within the folder. The problem is that Republic at War, if you use the installer from Mod Database,
Weapons ready.
would tell you that one would automatically install its AI changes into the data folder, and because those changes would crash the AI, which is why a lot of the times in Republic at War the AI wouldn't work.
Right away.
It also means it gets loaded when you're playing either the base game or any other mod, and
Course plotted.
that just breaks stuff,
Inbound.
which is annoying. Okay,
Choose
so let's
your
take the
reinforcements.
structure there.
Coming about.
Those two. We'll have to try to take out all these fighters, even though we don't have
Reinforcements
that many fighters ourselves.
More enemy craft.
Taking fire.
Weapons
Wait,
ready.
these are so weak they're probably not going to be able to do this.
Destination confirmed.
Get our TIE droids out that way.
Copy.
TIE fighters out that way as well.
Plotted.
Right, the heroes don't even spawn fighters right now, so that's not going to work.
For jump to light speed.
This is not the fleet I should be using for this.
Nowhere to
Engines are
run.
malfunctioning.
Falling out of formation. Draw their fire.
I don't think we would have lost anything from that. We'll have to bring in another fleet.
Construction complete.
Does this Executor fleet have Lancers in it? No. It has Venators, which is next best thing. Do you? You sort of do. You do. Okay, perfect. A lot of fighters will spawn from this, and
We're
that'll be
on our
perfect.
way.
Enemy fleet approaching.
I was scrolling through the art files 2.1 and found an old XQ station.
Construction
We are using stuff like the XQ, the Empress, Valaduja, and ICW. I'm going to need to retreat from this, I think. But that old model we were using for some reason before, but we are going to be using them for, I think, probably hangar defense for that, for the New Republic in 2.2. It'll work sort of like the brass station does.
Lander ready.
Right, I don't want to lose 60 ground units.
Preparing for
Incoming!
jump
Oh, no.
to light speed.
Oh yeah, you stay there. No, you stay there. Oh well. The main reason for the modders that are stealing is that they can't make them because there's no way to find a lot of the people porting from the other games, they do have access to 3ds Max. The people stealing the models don't always, but that doesn't really make what they're doing okay. And it doesn't, and usually those mods aren't doing other things with the stuff. Like it's just to pile in the units as much as they can. And to me, I just don't see the point in that. And that's mostly what I'm saying with that.
Tactical battle imminent.
All gun crews report in.
All right.
Proceeding. Moving out. En route.
We've come across enemy
Proceeding.
units.
Engaging enemy fighters.
I'm not sure how we're gonna organize this.
Moving out.
Probably just stick our Lancers together.
Proceeding. Moving out.
We'll be
Yeah,
there
let's just stick
shortly.
everything together,
Reinforcements cancelled.
Right away.
and
Moving
then
out.
we'll blow up anything that comes.
Cancelled.
Heading out. All out. Let's move out. Let's go.
They're still gonna do a lot of damage to the Lancers, but
Yes, sir.
To your position.
we should be able to do this.
He's headed your direction. Narrowing position. I'll take care of this. Ready? Tightening up. Let's finish him. Attack formation. Get in the lock.
At your command.
Like, there are plenty of mods that just use
Interceptor here.
models from other sources because there aren't any artists on the team that I feel do a good job, and they're just sort of using the models in service to new game mechanics or anything like that. Like AOTR, they don't make their own models,
Reporting in.
but they do a lot of different stuff with the gameplay. But then you have these other unit compilation models that didn't actually make the units,
All fighters
so
attack.
I don't really give them that much credit for that because they didn't do anything really.
He's coming around.
Yes, Commander.
Orders, sir. Attack! Fire!
Sir,
Yes, sir. Fire. Regroup for another attack. Victim is clear.
our primary engine system is down.
Right, you destroy.
Ready
What do
for
you
command,
guys?
sir.
No, you just come back here.
Fire!
Stay in formation. I've got him.
Intensify laser fire.
Blasted.
There's what, 40 squads of U-Wings here?
My scopes are jammed. Squadron standing by. Attack that target.
Roger that.
Ready for battle. Attacking target.
I think we can destroy all of these.
Attack formation. I'll take care of this.
We still have, what, 3 Lancers? We have almost more fighters than them.
Fire at will.
There's this last group coming in though. Should start getting the VSDs to head towards the
Launching
station.
attack.
There's another group coming in too.
Are down.
Did the TIE droids on this group?
I'm hit. Being targeted. Get moving. Pursuing enemy forces.
I've got him.
Nowhere to go. Losing power. Taking them out. Losing control. I can't switch position. My scopes are jammed.
Well, with AOTR you can get 2.6, but as far as access to 2.7, that's close to just the testers.
Awaiting instructions.
Sir,
Attack position.
So they're fairly close to release, so it won't be that long.
Almost gone. Target.
I don't know any specifics, but
Bomber standing by.
they seem to be happy with the progress they're making, and it seems fairly stable now, so it shouldn't be too long.
Gunship reporting.
Watch for
Pressing
enemy
the
ships.
attack.
Boba will be available in 2.2.
Batteries online.
I
Initiating.
think
attack.
with Meldrud, was it that we decided on?
Weapons ready. We're in
One of the
attack
Imperial factions will have Boba available. They all have 1 or 2 bounty hunters that you can get. With Meldrud, I think it's Boba and we were going to do Dengar?
At your
Was it?
command.
Or was Dengar for Orido? I'd have to look at the spreadsheet again,
Target
but
sighted.
there are a couple of bounty hunters that you'll be able to get
Reporting in.
with the
Ready
factions.
for duty.
The Penastar element, I know we're doing Raycass, the Rhodian guy.
Roger that. Navigating.
Benton was supposed to be making the model for that, actually, so I should talk to him about that. Bosk will be there. Dengar was one of the ones we... Oh, Dengar's already done, actually. Dengar is Meldrud.
Open fire.
Dengar, Bosk, Boba, Raycass... Crap, I can't remember who else it was, but
Awaiting order.
like 4 or 5.
Copy. I copy. Attacking target.
Commander, they're hitting us.
The enemy has been defeated.
You still hyperspace across the map? You mean like the micro jump ability we added? Because there are a few units that do that, but it's not a universal thing.
Right away.
There's like 4 IG-88s, so not all of them were dead. One of them was dead. They like to attack
Navigating
Balmoral, so let's just
coordinates.
send that fleet back.
Receiving location.
Let's get these guys up here. And we'll go for Jindy next. I don't think we've added the micro jump ability to any of the units that we plan to yet, but it'll be on a few. It'll mostly be for smaller ships, but right now I think we've only got it on the Vigilance for the Empire of the Hand because it was
Stay
being
close to
tested.
me. Choose your reinforcements.
On my way, sir.
We'll probably start distributing the abilities a bit more
Reinforcements en
Inputting
route.
as we
coordinates.
go. I think the single unit retreat is on most of the units that are going to have it already, but stuff like the
I'm here.
boarding we haven't actually shown yet, so I'll need to do that soon.
Let me help
But that and micro jump
How
haven't
can I
been
help
put
you?
on most of the units that are going to get it.
Choose your reinforcements.
On my way.
Luke, do you want to go
Skywalker
capture
here.
that
Got
for
it.
us?
They're in this direction.
Commander Skywalker reporting. Where do you need me?
We typically don't like free release stuff.
Reporting in. This
I don't
way.
know.
Awaiting orders.
Like
Scanning
there's
area.
more to the code base that we're
Awaiting your
using than
signal.
just the ability. It's built into some other systems for the mod. If people ask to use the code, I'm sure there's some mods that we would say yes to.
The Force is
But
on your
as
side.
far as free releasing stuff, usually that's just
Okay, I'll take care
piling more random broken crap into those unit compilation mods that I dislike. So I don't know that we're usually going to free release stuff like that.
of it. Over there, you got it.
Choose your reinforcements. Reinforcements en route.
Destination set.
Right away.
What's the mission? Heading there now.
On the move.
At
Moving to
maximum unit
destination.
capacity.
Boarding, when we do a... I'm going to do a separate video about that once it's
Skywalker
finished.
reporting.
Like, we have the functionality working, it's just not on the proper units and whatnot
Over
yet.
there.
So,
Transmit the
at some
order.
point soon, there'll be an actual video about that.
Form up.
And we'll go over
Scouting.
exactly how it works. These are all civilian? No, there's a T2B.
I copy. Yes.
Don't underestimate me.
I mean, Arthur, it's not impossible to find, it's just difficult to find. And if 3ds Max stops working or stops being available, then yeah, it just means that there won't be any new models for Empire at War, and there's not really anything anyone can do about that. It's just the software not being available anymore.
Commander Skywalker reporting.
We already have enough work to do with our own stuff, so we're probably not going to be like volunteering to make a ton of models for every mod that wants something just because we have the software when we don't really have enough time to make the stuff we want ourselves.
You can count on me.
Scouting area.
As easy as bullseyeing womp rats.
Target acquired.
We've sighted them.
And quite frankly, there were years and years where the software was available pretty easily, pretty readily, and there were very few people that ever bothered to actually learn how to do it. Like, you can still learn how to model in other pieces of software, and those skills would still be transferable if you find someone who does have the software to make the models, and people never bothered to do it. They just kept porting models, and people who port models, again, the models don't start compatible with Empire at War. The people who are doing that are still, they have access to the software, they just never bothered to learn how to model.
Control achieved.
No, it has nothing to do with how Chewbacca's ability works. It's pretty much entirely Lua.
Construction complete.
If there's a new Empire at War, I doubt Petroglyph would make it. Petroglyph, I'm pretty sure one of the things they said when they were talking to EA and Disney about making the patch for Empire at War that ultimately came out is that they had wanted to make Empire at War 2 or a sequel to Forces of Corruption before, and EA said no. So I wouldn't really hold out hope for a sequel anytime soon, or at least one made by Petroglyph.
Awaiting orders. Fallout.
Choose your reinforcements.
Let's move out.
But I could be wrong about that. It might never have happened.
Enemy forces ahead.
I heard that secondhand, pretty much. Alright, let's jump these in here.
Speed.
Okay, this is another fighter fleet. I don't know if this is... Yeah, this isn't the best fleet to do this
Jump
with.
to light speed.
Why is the bombing run so slow charging? Well, the bigger problems with bombing runs and what's it called? And orbital bombardments is that so much of the ground battles is decided by space forces and stuff that you can't actually do anything about within the ground battle itself.
Complete.
Okay, that's unfortunate. They're now in the thing. But we made the cooldown timer a bit longer just so that it's less about the bombing runs and orbital bombardments. Well, one of the cool things about the being able to actually load perceptual equations out of the data folder is that you are able to make new Lua scripts that take into account different hardpoints than you could before. Because that's all stuff that required some of the AI code from what Pox is saying. And there's no Lua commands that let you look specifically for hardpoints. It has to go through the perceptual equations and then through Lua. So that's all stuff that should be possible now, which is less easy than it sounds.
We're on our way.
Moving out.
This is going to be
We'll
a
be there
bit
shortly. Right
tricky.
away. Moving out.
The MTCs just
Heading
destroy.
out.
Well, the fighters that come out should be able to do it even if the MTCs can't.
Lancer frigate ready.
Awaiting
Reporting.
orders.
All gun crew reporting.
Under control. Watch him. He's coming around. Returning to your position. Target critical. Gun them down.
Umar, you may want to go a little bit farther back in the stream.
Shake them.
so it has a bit more time to buffer rather than trying to watch it like right up to the second live.
Tower being targeted.
If you go back like 30 seconds or something, it may load a bit better for you.
Awaiting instruction.
Where are the others?
Yes,
Shield's
Commander.
almost gone. Engines are malfunctioning.
We don't have any plans to do Yuzon Vong and Thrawn's Revenge at the moment.
Scum.
There's a ton we want to do within the period that we're already covering,
Ready.
and Yuzon Vong would be a ton of work on top of that. You'd be more likely to see them in Sins of a Solar Empire in Ascendancy first,
Nowhere to go.
and then at that point, if we were to port them back in Empire at War, then that's a possibility, but stuff for like abilities, it tends to work a bit better in Sins in the first place.
Nowhere to run.
I've got him. Attacking.
Falling out of formation.
Batteries online.
Gun batteries ready.
I've got him.
Gun battery, fire.
Target locked.
So the station's almost done.
Weapons ready.
I'm gonna speed it up a bit just because it's
Yes, sir.
all fighters.
Ready. TIE squadron here.
Okay, these will be the last of the garrison fighters, so we can start worrying about, oh god, giant, massive, swarmy fighter thingies.
Lancer
Yeah, let's get the Lancers over there.
Switch position.
Anti-fighters are actually a pretty big contributor to the selection freeze issue,
We've lost our turbo.
because they fire so many projectiles.
Our launch bay
You'd
has
think
been
because they're so
destroyed.
small it doesn't matter as much, but the projectiles, man. So let's just separate this fleet again. And we will build a
Vehicle
lot of
in
Lancers.
production.
Roger.
Construction complete.
Alright, so this fleet can go to Balmora now.
Landing
Add that to
craft
our
active.
party there. Oh god, what? What do you have against Balmora? What did they do to you? Right, well we've got our fleet headed in there anyways. Not a fleet with a lot of fighters, which is unfortunate. Especially because the hero ships don't spawn fighters
On
with
the
the new
way.
system just yet.
Tactical battle imminent.
Well, I've talked about abilities for the World Devastator a bit earlier in the stream, but we will do a separate video when we get all the abilities for that done. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to get done for 2.2, but there are a few ideas we have, and we have to make sure it all works first. We typically try to avoid announcing anything before we're done with it, or before we're sure it works, because otherwise that would be very disappointing for people. Right. This fleet isn't going to do it. Too many fighters.
There they are. Blast them.
Prepare for jump to hyperspace.
I don't think you can natively set the cooldown for the Eclipse to start not being usable. I think it would have to be done a separate way through Lua, so that's a bit more complicated.
Order confirmed.
En route.
I think what we'll have to do... Well, let's invade Jindine. What map is this? Okay, it's the Terrace map. So let's do that, and then we'll send this fleet with all the VSTs and the Lancers back up to that hero fleet, and then we'll be able to go in and take Balmora space.
Choose your reinforcements.
Advancing.
Reinforcements en route.
Kumar, we haven't had the
Capacity.
intros for a long time. I don't remember any version of ICW where we've had the Stormtrooper intros. Honestly, I think it was one of the first things we removed.
I'm here. Right.
Okay, well let's just creep up here.
The enemy is approaching.
I deleted it before I ever got annoyed by it. I just never found it useful. Now I'm just glad it's gone. When I have to deal with it, it reminds me just how annoyed I was.
Ready to help. Got it.
Let's grab this. We'll
Awaiting
keep the
your
AT-AT
orders.
moving in. Okay, you guys help them.
Order landing zone.
Help
Attacking.
with that.
Choose your reinforcements.
Destination set.
This will be one of the
Reinforcements
more
en
heavily
route.
defended planets, but I think we're
On
still
my
good.
way.
No matter where we go.
Any assistance? Moving out. Hello, Commander.
Ah,
Where should I go?
Unit destroyed. Unit destroyed.
It's a Skywalker. Approach with caution.
Sensor node constructing.
Awaiting
I like
your
how the voice cue is still there for Luke, though. He's on our side, and we're approaching with caution.
Construction complete.
Unit destroyed.
Well, that was unfortunate.
What's the mission?
That is a lot of
I
plex.
am a Jedi.
Copy. Destination set.
Skywalker
Okay,
reporting.
Luke, you can finish that. Get this guy down here.
I
Get an
copy.
AT-AT down here as well.
Reporting.
Keep one up
Attack
there.
that target.
Unit
Choose your
destroyed.
reinforcements.
On my way, sir.
Reinforcements en route. At
Moving to
maximum unit
coordinates.
capacity.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
now I think we're good.
Yes.
You know, if you want to walk into the
On my
base,
way,
that's
sir.
probably better. I think the center node is probably still a little bit too long, the range, but it'll probably stay. It's definitely going to stay as being like
Fire at will.
pretty big, just because it's removes a lot of the tedium of ground battles. The whole
Yes,
hide and
Commander.
seek aspect of
Attacking.
ground battles in the AW is probably one of the most frustrating things in the world. Maybe that's just me,
Ready
but
for orders. Commence attack run.
Transmit the order.
doing a full cinematic would be pretty much impossible for like 70 different GCs.
Ready. As
We
you
need
wish.
like a full-time
Right,
animation studio
victorious.
working on that.
System control achieved. Constructing. Building cancelled.
Like in general, we're in support of some mods for TR, but how we feel about any specific one, the criteria are pretty similar
Tactical
for
battle imminent.
how we feel about any mod, really.
Construction
Lost and
complete.
Immobilizer there, but whatever. Like if they're doing something new and
Construction
worth
complete.
doing, then great. But if they're just
Construction
like
complete.
re-enabling stuff they found in the demo files for full 2.2 and they're just putting out like broken versions of our future work, I don't love that as much, to be honest. Because like there's a reason that stuff wasn't enabled in the demo, so I don't like, we're not huge fans of people just re-enabling that stuff. But yeah, like if people are like, my problem isn't people using large amounts of models from other sources
Construction complete.
if they have permission. My problem is I just don't enjoy mods that are only doing that, like when they don't add anything beyond just a bunch of units. I just don't enjoy that. That's basically it. Yeah, there'd be copyright issues with that, and that all takes place before the mod, so it wouldn't make a great, like, I guess the Death Star exploding, maybe it shouldn't be a big issue for copyright stuff. That usually would fall under fair use,
Tactical battle imminent.
but just relevance is more the issue. If any of you have seen the Ascendancy trailers, we were going to use the trailer video for the intros to both Ascendancy and ICW, because they sort of talk about what's going on in the period. We'd probably use the Remnant one for ICW and the New Republic one for Ascendancy, but
All gun crews.
if we do it, I've been talking to Jin about wanting to do just an ICW trailer at some point, This looks like someone just vomited on the background.
The enemy has been
Oh, wow.
spotted.
En route.
Not that bad, but lighting is really bad too.
Choose your reinforcements.
But yeah, so if we were to do that, then we'd probably just use that trailer.
Reinforcements cancelled.
And that usually involves making some smaller animations.
Coming around.
Like if in those trailers we had the galactic map that was animated. That actually took Jin quite a while to do. But if we were able to do more stuff like that, then we'd probably use that as an intro for the mod as a whole, like when you load it up. But I don't think we'd go into that kind of depth with video cutscenes for the GCs themselves.
I copy.
I copy. Fire.
Auto-resolve, the actual
Go.
what's it called? The actual equations for auto-resolve aren't
Reporting.
accessible.
Commencing
They're
attack
all
run.
hard-coded pretty much.
Getting a lock.
So you can change the values for individual stuff, but you can't really change how the game perceives them, I'm pretty sure. Unless it's hidden in some of the AI files that I just haven't looked at yet. So I don't think there's really much we can do about auto-resolve being kind of weird.
Pursuing enemy
But
forces.
at the same time, you don't want it to be
Taking them out.
really good, because then if auto-resolve is a better player than most players,
Engaging the enemy.
then there's no reason to... Like, if it's tactically the best situation to always auto-resolve, like I sort of used... like I use sometimes in ground battles, because
Yes, sir.
it's the only way to
Ion
win.
engines primed.
That's less good.
Yes, Commander.
Reporting.
But really, auto-resolve just is what it is, and
Open
you're just
fire.
Under control.
probably going to stay how it is.
Position.
Are you going to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on your channel? Yes, I will probably play that right as it's getting released. So I might do either a release date stream and then a
Ready.
play through the
Changing
campaign, sort of
course
like
to
how I'm doing with Battlefront, the first Battlefront 2 right now. I was actually going to finish that today on this stream, but I decided I'd rather do some EAW because we haven't had an EAW stream in a while.
I'm on my way.
So hopefully sometime this week there'll probably be an episode tomorrow of Battlefront 2, and then the rest will be streamed. But when the new Battlefront 2 comes out, that's sort of why I'm doing that when I am.
Tactical battle imminent.
Right, let's get our ground forces to Onderon. Let's actually send Palpatine and his fleet up to deal with that situation up here. How do you zoom out so far? Well, the camera in the 2.2 full version is different. Like right now, the camera in the tactical battles in space is different than it was in the previous versions. So that's why it would look different. I have never played Star Wars Galaxies, LSE.
I copy.
Choose your reinforcements.
Never really... Like, I was never really super into MMOs.
Reinforcements
I
en route.
played some Tor with Gull and Bane,
Reinforcements en
but that
route.
was... I used to play RuneScape when I was a kid, too. Right around the time they updated from... would that be, what, 2000... I was in grade 7. That was... 11 years ago?
I'm with you.
But that's the extent of my
Stay close to me.
of my
I
MMO
see it.
playing.
Be right there.
We also play the
Enemy
beta.
unit
Is the beta open for Battlefront 2? I haven't really looked into it too much. I've mostly just been waiting for the game to actually release, rather than getting involved with any of the pre-release stuff.
I'm here.
Let's capture this. When are you planning to do more community matches on stream? I do want to do them a lot more often than I have been. It's just been a really crazy summer. So hopefully I'll be able to get into a more regular stream. One of my goals for this month is to set up a regular stream schedule, and then go aiming for like 2 to 3 times a week, and then some of those streams would be dedicated to doing community matches in both ICW, Ascendancy, and maybe some base FOC or other mods or other games. Definitely some Battlefront one that's out. But for the last few weeks, like this is the first stream that I've been able to do since September started. Because for the last few weeks I've been moving, or dealing with the stuff surrounding me moving, and like getting my license and all that stuff. So I've just not had a chance to, on top of doing all the recording that I needed to do. So
Let me help you.
Hopefully there'll be a lot more coming up. That's the goal. So the beta launch is on the 6th. Is it an open beta then, or is it?
Enemy has been defeated.
Or like relatively open? Because there are some games that actually have it with
System conquered.
NDAs that go with being in the betas.
Building started.
So like, I was technically in the Fortnite beta. Anyone knows what that is, and hasn't seen any of the drama with PUBG, however you want to say it, Player Unknowns. And with that, you're actually not allowed to show anything from it, which is part of why I never covered it on the channel. Also, reason for that is that I never actually bothered playing it. But
Construction complete.
not being able to cover it on the channel is a close second to why I've never covered it on the channel.
I go.
Alright, we're good there. Let's just get all of our fleets moving out here.
We're moving
Tactical
out.
battle imminent.
Red Dead Redemption 2? I've never played any of the Red Dead games. So. Are you guys modifying the planet tabs so they're more informative of what the planet bonuses are? Typically we don't have direct planet bonuses, which is why we've never listed them. Because the planet abilities and bonuses in EAW and FOC were kind of, well, entirely useless. So we never really stuck with them. And the only relevant information was what level shipyard is. But we're trying to re-add a lot of that information where it's relevant and where it's useful.
Proceeding.
Look, sir, it's them.
So, sort of.
Choose your reinforcements.
Let's make sure we have some Lancers in here.
Move
We also
out.
need to make sure that our stuff doesn't die.
Proceeding.
We should be good here. Oh, there's actually just mostly fighters.
Carrack en route.
Fall out.
Reinforcements canceled.
Heading out.
Reinforcements en
Did that
route.
get in fast enough?
Positioning. I got one.
Hurry, 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 hurry.
Have them now.
Yep, close. Oh yeah, that's the kind of information we do want to add where we can. Like there's just a lot of stuff where we are trying to add in the information. It's tedious.
Tactical
Like if
battle imminent.
Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with that. But if we just take a second here, this is something you'll see a bit more of in the upcoming New Republic playthrough, with the changes to how we display the structures there, changes to how we do the hero descriptions, and that'll extend to planets as well. It's just we haven't started on the planets yet. Will you do a community match for the old Battlefront 2? I don't know if there'd be enough people playing to warrant a community match. Maybe, but...
Reporting.
You ever thought about adding planets like Capital Shipyard for ground structures, like only have you on a certain planet?
Understood.
We've considered it before, but it's usually we've just decided not to do it because
Reinforcements canceled. Reinforcements canceled.
there's not much that goes into ground stuff, and cutting them off like that just seemed like it would be kind of
Reinforcements
not
canceled.
good.
We shall be there shortly.
Moving into position. Fall out. Let's move out.
It just seemed like it was always better for making ground more tolerable to have them always be available.
Star Destroyer standing by.
Choose your reinforcements.
Like, there are some other types of structures we want to do
Interceptor here.
to sort of help that, but I don't think we'll be limiting
Orders.
the unit type production like that to just certain planet types. Partially for the AI as well.
Tightening up. Orders. Where are the others? I'll take care of this. Let's finish him. Unable to shake them. Watch your back. Reporting. He won't be around much longer.
This should probably be done with more Lancers.
Coming around. I got fire. Shield's almost gone. I got him. I've been hit.
Alright, what is Har's split personality command bonus? So, the way the heroes work right now is you have the basic tier for the hero. So, is Black Devourer in danger? A little bit. I don't remember if the engine hard points were added for this build yet. I don't want to retreat in case we lose that. But, so you have the basic tier, and that's going to be universal, so a tier 3 is always a tier 3. But then on top of that, you have the additional traits of the person, which add a positive or a negative modifier to that. So for Harsk, he is, I don't remember what tier he was, but let's say tier 2 or 3. And then, so that comes with the basic set of buffs, but then if you're like a starfighter commander, that adds like 5 or 10% to damage for starfighters. If he's the only one with split personality, which he gets a negative to ship health from that, I think. That'll all be documented in the manual as well as in different places in game. But it's just a way to make heroes a bit more coherent, make it easier for people to understand what's actually going on with their heroes. Because that was pretty hard to know before. Yeah, then we'll see if this SSD lives.
Our engines are out.
Where are the others? Nowhere to go.
I've got him.
Well, Zavathon... Oh, crap, we lost it. Well, it would, in some cases, add some variance for that. The end result would be that ground battles are worse. So we typically value the fact that ground battles are that much worse over having just a few planets become more important. And it would also mean that the way we structure GCs has to be entirely different, because the planets that we choose for the GCs, we'd have to make sure there's fair access to that type of planet for every faction, which means we'd have to significantly change which planets we choose for each faction in each GC. There'd be other planets that now become mandatory, and we'd be able to choose less for the story relevant stuff. And so, like, there's other stuff we want to do to make planets more different, more important, have other reasons to take them, but stuff like ground production is not really one of the avenues we want to explore that for.
Lancer frigate ready.
Choose your reinforcements.
It will
Incoming!
be done.
Let's get our fighters out
In
here.
transit.
Right away.
Moving to sector.
Let's move out.
Carrack en route.
I am ready.
Let's do this right away.
They will be taken care of.
Your command, sir.
Yeah, if we could make that cooldown gated at the start, if we can do that through Lua, that'd be one of the things that we do want to do. But I don't think it can be done through just XML. It'll take some working to do.
Commander.
Die squadron standing by.
Watch your back. Intercepting. He won't be around much
Reporting
longer.
in.
I'm on this
Attack
one.
that target.
Losing
At your
control.
Roger that.
That means the changes to the engines for SSDs were in this build.
Ready for battle.
Fun fact,
Target critical. Under control.
Form up.
we have other voices, it's just I haven't been able to go through them and make sure they're all usable yet.
Returning to your position.
Because voice acting is like the last thing we're going to be organizing. It's a lot of tedious organizing. We'll have to do a lot of organizing of people. All the coding has to be done for it. We have to know exactly what we need from them. We have to do a lot of writing. So right now, the stuff we've used has just been the Ascendancy stuff and a couple other things, but like There's 5 or 6 other people. There's a bunch of stuff that's been recorded that I haven't listened to at all yet, because they were community contributions. And we're more concerned with getting the mod feature complete and stable first. After that, we'll probably focus more on stuff like the voice acting. The biggest thing we've done, though, so far is just remove the worst stuff from 2.1.
Target attack formation.
Firing.
Go after the stragglers.
Shield's almost gone.
Another attack. More enemy craft.
If people want to use specific stuff, then they're free to ask for it.
Advancing on target.
What?
We are victorious.
There we
Star
go.
Destroyer standing by.
I copy. Reporting.
Retreat aborted.
But again, the single unit retreat especially involves a lot more other back-end coding to be done and significant changes to how a lot of the mod works overall.
Construction complete.
So that's a lot more than just like plug this code into the unit. And it requires a bit more knowledge on how to implement some other stuff.
Constructing.
Let's go get to Goria. That whole fleet's dead. So let's get it back. Oh, we can't get it back. That was the limit for the executors. Never mind.
Invasion commencing.
So yeah, the build limits on SSDs are actually significantly lower in 2.2 than they ever were before. This is the map. We do need to remove this ATST. It's written down on my whiteboard. I haven't had a chance. That's going to be one of the things I actually do when I go through and figure out which maps are usable or not. I'd also like to figure out what's going on with some of the maps where the where you don't start with the zone controlled.
How can I help you?
We've come across enemy units.
I shall crush the rebellion. I shall.
I don't know if I really want Palpatine to be here right now, actually.
On the way.
Maximum unit capacity.
Skywalker
Luke
here.
down here. It was just accidentally placed when someone was editing or making the map. I think I made this map, actually. But yeah, it was just accidentally placed. Sometimes you use units for
Heading there
scaling
now.
and props, and the affiliation's wrong or something, and then you just forget to
You'll
remove
find
it.
out bullets
It
surprise.
happens.
You're overconfident.
That's what happened here.
Destroyed.
ATAA here.
Commander
I want to play around with the
reporting.
projectile speeds
You can
and
count
probably
on
even the
me.
size of the
Last mistake they'll ever
oh
make.
god,
I'll be
the
there.
size of the V-wings, so that it's easier to hit them with AA stuff. Is that kind of thing happening is annoying. Alright, so we'll use Palpatine for this.
Enemy.
Oh, you get back here.
Choose your
Where
reinforcements.
do you need me?
Get
On
you
my way,
here,
sir.
you here, you here, you
Reinforcements
here.
en route.
Moving to
You
destination.
here.
I understand. I'm on it.
Yes.
Range on this.
You dare approach me? Come
There we go.
with me.
Right behind you.
AT-AT ready.
Move out here.
Moving out.
Internet queue. It's a thing from Dark Empire where Luke was... Like, he essentially went undercover trying to infiltrate the
I
Empire,
am
but
in
then he
command.
sort of
Me.
Right behind
lost
you.
his way a little
Armored
bit for a
transport
while.
ready.
So we worked that
We're
in the
ready.
mod through some
We're
events.
on it.
If you kill Luke,
What do you
he
want?
joins you, and then if the NR kills Luke or does some other stuff, he goes back to
Allow you to
the New
witness
Republic.
my victory.
Right behind you.
Standing by.
Standing by.
Reporting.
Awaiting
Luke
your
to go over
signal.
there.
I fear no one.
one of the next major things that we're working on is
Available.
fixing a lot of the stuff with the infantry's use by the AI and
Reporting.
some of the weirdness that's still there from trying to work out a way for the
Reporting in.
Commencing bombing
for the squads to run while firing and still be part of squads. So there's some stuff that goes on with the locomotors there that we need to still suss out. And it should all be solvable, but it's just a little bit weird at first because there's a lot of trial and error you have to go through for it.
right behind you.
You will die.
There we go.
We can cover you.
The enemy has been defeated.
I never actually read Dark Empire. I just spent a lot of time on Wikipedia.
System control achieved.
Thank you.
Beginning construction.
Alright, what do we want to do next? You up here. You should be over here. There we go. Hold on, there's still a World Devastator in here, isn't there?
Construction complete.
Something. No, apparently not.
Construction complete.
Oh well. Well, let's get Palpatine in with this fleet.
Construction complete.
We're getting to the point where we can start, like, consolidating everything. What happens to the corrupted units when you use that ability? Do they die over time? I don't think they die over time. I think they just suffer some severe personality conflicts. They sit there, they reevaluate their life choices, and then eventually they die after the battle.
Unit in production.
I think that's how that works.
Setting course.
Yeah, I was trying to make a second ground army, but I never bothered doing that. We'll have to deal with this. And this.
Tactical battle imminent.
Holomex space battle. Ah, TIE Maulers beat V-Wings in space. You heard it here first. Alright, let's go for Metalorn with them. And let's actually leave Sovereign here. And send this fleet back over
Tactical
that way.
battle imminent.
Oh, it all tab.
Gun batteries ready. Moving out. En route. Proceeding.
They're in this direction.
Choose your reinforcements.
I talked about that a bit earlier, Ghost Sniper, but
Intensify laser fire.
we can't really change the... all the planet placements are the same in every GC. Like, you're selecting which planets go in the GC, and then it's from an entity that's used for all of them. And if we spread them out any more in this GC, they'd be overlapping with other stuff around them. Like, if you look at where every single planet in the mod is, it's all...
Heading up.
We can't spread them out anymore without overlapping anywhere else. So we're still trying to think of exactly how we want to work around that, because there's 250 planets to work around. But it's... we would like to have a solution to spread them out a bit better, but we do have to work around a ton of planets for that. So I don't know how much progress we're actually going to be able to make on that.
Course.
Yes, sir.
I got him.
Well, I think what Slorny and I plan to do is reevaluate it more towards the end of 2.2, maybe even going into Fall of the Republic in 2.3, rather than disrupting everything that's still being done right now. Because it's all functional right now, it's just not the most aesthetically pleasing, and sometimes it can get a little bit annoying trying to deal with maps that have some of the really close together planets like Hakasi and Ojam. But like, if you try to shift this down, there's planets that are in this area in other GCs.
Enemy
If
fleet
you have camping that,
approaching.
it gets complicated. I've thought about showing a video with every single planet in the mod, just so people can see what that actually would look like. But it's I've never actually bothered doing it, so maybe I will. Where was that coming in? Column X. Where's column X? Here. Let's get you in there. Back there. Let's get our ground forces up here.
Complete.
What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Construction complete.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Tactical battle imminent.
There. Now let's get you over here.
Mauler ready.
And
Tactical
Metalorn.
battle imminent.
Right. So this will be a lot more fighters.
En route.
And a raid
Choose your
fleet.
reinforcements.
But I
Let's
don't
move
think...
out.
Yeah, they didn't have anything
Reinforcements
significantly
en
large.
route.
In
It
transit.
would be nice to beat them before
Ahead full.
the
Moving
raid
to
fleet
sector.
comes in,
Proceed.
because I don't think we have enough to deal with the raid fleet if it's anything significant.
Yes, sir.
Reinforcements cancelled.
Navigating to
Take
coordinates.
care of this.
So you focus on that.
Getting a lock.
Yes, sir.
This ISD
We're
in
moving
here a
out.
bit more.
Engaging the enemy.
Focusing on target.
Reinforcements
And we
cancelled.
may as well just use these.
Reinforcements
Flank
cancelled.
speed.
We have some lasers, they're
Engaging
decent
the
against
enemy.
fighters.
Plotted.
Attack formation. Go after the stragglers.
Watch for enemy ships.
Regroup for another attack.
I'm on this one. Go after them.
I've got them in my sights.
Taking fire. Under control.
Roger that.
Okay, that's fine. These fighters need to actually start doing stuff, or else we're gonna have to fight the raid fleet.
Target locked.
Lancer frigate ready.
Getting a lock.
I mean, well, it won't matter if we're able to destroy that even after the raid fleet comes in.
Yes,
But
Commander.
I'd rather
Yes, Commander.
not deal with it.
All fighters.
We'll probably have to go back to making a lot of the built New Republic fighters very relevant, but that's one of the things we want to change with the AI anyways, is how it actually comprises these fleets, and trying to do some stuff to... one of the biggest ways this happens is the AI either runs out of production facilities, or they run out of... like, they'll have they'll have a reasonable amount in their different fleets, and then the larger ships in the fleets get destroyed. And then they end up having to, like, they just coalesce these giant fighter fleets of the remnants of their own regular fleets.
Standing by. Setting up my run.
But we want to do some regular sweeps on the units the AI has, and sort of force them into having better fleet compositions. Even if that means, like, cleaning out some of what they have, giving them some compensation for that, and then letting them rebuild from that, because they don't know to sell units. So if they end up with an unfavorable unit setup, as they lose pop cap so they can't build anything new, and what they have is filled with their older units,
Orders, sir.
if we can make that work a bit better for them, then that'd be one of the things we'd like to do.
Target locked. Coming back around for another run.
The Ascendancy Star Destroyers only like the purple berries if you're playing as the Empire of the Hand, I'm pretty sure. But they do still like them.
Building under construction.
We'll have to go for Tangren. Get Metalorn. The raid fleet size is, right now, it's a random number. It's not, it's just a random number between, what is it, 3 and 7 ships of different types.
Copy. Understood.
We do want to make it take into account other factors and be based on that in the future, but that's a bit more complicated, and we want to make sure that the game doesn't just, like, completely lag and crash out when we're this close to releasing. So that's something we're going to reevaluate in the future version.
I'm going.
Like, we're at a point where we don't want to break anything. We're more concerned with polishing off what's there, finishing what needs to be done, and making sure everything stays fixed. One of the biggest issues we had with the demo, actually, was because we changed how raid fleets worked right before release,
Got it.
and
I'll help anyone
that ended
I
up
can.
causing, if anyone remembers when they were trying to save before, in the demo on the initial release, it would sometimes crash if you tried to load the save from within a battle.
The order.
And that was an issue that we found out with how Lua handles something to do with, I can't remember what it is, but there's something with how Lua scripts handle certain tables or functions that doesn't work well with saving. And we'd never thought, oh, we should try saving in a battle, and we changed how the raid fleets work because we didn't know that was a thing.
Located the enemy.
And it ended up
Construction complete.
turning into something we learned about going forward. We'll wait until we have a different unit to go take care of that. I want to get Luke to take this
Heading
landing
there
zone.
now. You can count on me.
This is one of the maps that I think Enceladus made. So it's one of our maps. Not vanilla for sure, though. I'm not 100% sure if it was Enceladus, but it is one of the mod maps.
I'll be there.
We may have to send this IDT down here.
Form up. Dropping additional soldiers.
We've secured a landing zone.
Let's
Choose
get
your
more
reinforcements.
IDTs in here.
Reinforcements.
I don't
en
hate this
route.
map. It's fairly simple, straightforward. It's easy to use,
At
easy to
maximum
play.
unit capacity.
It's just I always forget which end the base is on. I think it's up here and up here. Okay, there you go. Local tables. Being passed around.
Yes. I'm with you.
Avoiding fire.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
I think that came up with the single unit retreat as well. Was that? No, it wasn't. The thing that came up with single unit retreat was when I had the speed value set wrong, so the game would just completely lag out if you tried to use it with more than one unit.
Stay close to
Bombing
me. I
run
understand.
available.
Acknowledged.
That was annoying.
Form up. Changing course.
But it does look like we'll be able to finish the whole GC today.
I'm here.
Oh,
There
you
they
can-
are.
you can do
I'll
that.
get them.
Right, so the structure has to
Awaiting
be up
orders
here.
Right away. Moving out.
We'll get you. Oh, more. Structure doesn't have to be up here. You go that way. You can go up this way. I don't think we're going to do multiple tiers for NR infantry like that. We're probably just going to leave their infantry as always being the better ones.
Bomber squadron.
Let that happen.
Bombardment available.
It's been hard enough to
Conquered.
come up with satisfactory
Building
NR infantry
under
stuff.
construction.
Maybe if we did like what we want to do is get. Okay, this is annoying.
Barracks destroyed.
What we want to do is get different NR. We want to make a different NR infantry model, and we also want to make them be a bit more multi-species. So
Moving out.
Mauler ready.
if we, I don't know if we'll end up doing it like there's the main ones that are really good and have one standard design, and then we do like a lower tier that's more made up of other species. But I'd rather just have it so that
Construction.
their main
complete.
infantry has all the species and has a different uniform than they currently do. Is this our space units or ground? Yeah, that's the space units.
Construction complete.
Are you going all the way around there?
Mauler ready.
Right, because I guess Centaurus isn't ours.
Construction complete.
Mauler ready.
Make a modding 101 video about Lua script. There's a few more I want to do for XML. I don't know if I'll ever do it for Lua
System
script because
control
it's
achieved.
basically programming. So
Got it.
I don't know that I'd be the right person to teach
Beginning
anyone
construction.
programming.
Tactical battle imminent. Invasion
Like, I can do
commencing.
some simple stuff. Like, I can do a video about doing some simple stuff, but it's... I don't know, it's a bit more complicated than other
Construction
modding.
complete. Beginning
Where
construction.
did the IDT come from? It came from Force Unleashed. Clone troopers will be recruitable from any Republic planet.
Beginning construction.
We still want clone troopers to be the primary Republic infantry, so limiting that just doesn't make sense. Like, yes, they were all grown on Kamino, but if the CIS just immediately takes Kamino, then the Republic Army has no clone troopers, and it just kind of looks dumb. This is gonna be...
Choose your reinforcements.
We still don't have that many...
There they are! Blast them!
Oh boy. Well,
Let's go.
hold on.
Reinforcements
I think we can
here.
do this.
Moving into new sector.
At
But they won't all be victory relevant.
By my will.
The enemy will pay.
So let's get the Marauders. That's fine.
I copy.
The Allegiance is going to take a lot of damage because it's SSD armor type.
Go after the stragglers. Regroup for another attack. They're coming in quick. I got it.
By the time the mod is done, we have replaced all the original skins. There's probably a lot of ground stuff that we won't replace. There's a few space units that we won't replace, but we've already replaced pretty much everything. Like, all the asteroid props are new, the sky drops are new, 90% of the planet models and textures are new.
We are victorious.
Pretty much all the units are new except for a couple of the ground ones. So I guess mostly.
Roger.
Centaurus. We already took it, so I think I am going to auto-resolve here as well. But I'm going to move Palpatine out of the way. Because I think he'll get counted as one of our ground units for this, and I don't want that to happen.
Done.
Invasion commencing. Planetary control achieved.
So let's get
Order
fleet
confirmed.
around here.
Very well.
Palpatine back in there.
Enemy fleet approaching.
Lord. Okay, do it. Invade Metalorn.
Tactical battle imminent.
Oh yeah. Oh no, this is going to work out really well for you. This was a great idea.
The enemy is approaching.
I have no idea when AOTR will be released. Seems like it'll be soon, but again, I'm not involved in the development with the mod, so I'm not privy to any
Bombers
decisions like that they've made, and if I were, I don't think I'd be allowed to say it. Eoth ground rework still won't come till around 2.3. Yeah, so we won't be doing... We do want to redo all the Empire of the Hand ground units, but we won't be doing that until the next version. The art assets we're still making, we're mostly just finishing the Intigo, and then a couple other things we want to do or redo. Then it's too much art, or it'd be too involved of a process to start now. I would delay them on too much. Most of my work is going to be on the GC stuff, and it's just been so long since we had released at 2.1. That kind of thing, we're much happier to leave until a future version. Alright, Espis, I guess?
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way. Okay. Everybody, I'm on my way, guys. Okay?
I go.
Getting close, though. Do another thing where we move all of our fleets.
Tactical battle imminent.
Didn't have time. No, we'll probably be starting 2.3 and Fall of the Republic around the same time. There'll be probably a little while where we're just working on Fall of the Republic to get some stuff set up for it, but there'll still be people who are working on ICW,
Batteries ready.
Choose your reinforcements.
especially with stuff like any patches we need to do or any larger issues we need to fix.
Relocate.
It may end up being that we're working on
Coming about.
some of the 2.3 work before we even start on Fall of the Republic, so that we're not redoing it multiple times. Because we are splitting off the first build of Fall of the Republic from a build of ICW, so we want to make sure everything's working as much as possible, so we don't end up fixing it in two places. It might even be built out of the same folder for a while, where we just like swap around some XML stuff so all the scripts stay the same, because that's going to be the biggest area where we need to work on it.
Closing on target. Pursuing enemy forces. Taking them out.
Do you think you will ever reach a point where you don't need to work on the mod?
Watch your back.
Well, that's... I'm not sure exactly how you mean that.
Reporting.
There will definitely reach a point where I don't work on a mod,
To receive orders.
but like, there will always, no matter what happens with any game or any mod, there always will be more that you feel like you want to do or could do. It'll just be a point of like when it stops being interesting or relevant,
Yes,
or
Commander.
stop having the time to do it.
Target locked.
Like there have been plenty of times where we've said
Turning to your position.
we're done with the mod after that release. Like I think 2.2 is the first release that we've ever had where we've said we do plan to continue working on it after this release, which could just mean that we end up like all dying in a horrible crash and never get anything done, or we just entirely lose interest or something and never get anything done after 2.2. But that's not the plan.
Engines are malfunctioning. I'm on. My scopes are jammed. Pursuing enemy forces.
Well, Fall of the Republic will start as just Imperial Civil War. Like we're going to be stripping out all the non-Imperial or all the non-Fall of the Republic stuff, switching over the faction names, stripping out the GCs, and recoding the unit hardpoints however they need to be recoded for the Republic and the CIS versions of those ships.
Choose your reinforcements.
We need to get to that station.
I am ready.
Ready. Flank speed. Taking fire.
I'm gonna lag more like this.
Where'd he go?
By my will. Nowhere to run.
Comlink.
This could end poorly.
Hangar door secure.
Form up. Cruiser reporting.
I'm losing.
Well, there will never be a point where we've covered every single unit or story or anything from
Attack position.
the expanded universe. There's just way too much, even if nothing gets added. And there's a lot of stuff that it would just be a bad idea to try to cover in the mod.
Attack formation.
Pressing the attack.
Go after them.
You won't, even if Palpatine dies, that event's not coded in this build, so you wouldn't see that.
Online. Initiating attack.
I'm going to do a separate video on that when it's all finished.
Click. More enemy crush. I shall crush the enemy around much longer. Target critical. Eliminating target.
No need to worry. Alright, so let's take Nespis. Or let's take Kashyyyk. Do we have any Lancers in here? Yeah, 2. That's nothing.
Enemy unit sighted.
Yes, Commander.
Alright, we've got some more fighting back here.
Interceptor squad reporting. Right away.
Target.
Blazer.
Destroyer here.
Lancer frigate ready.
Copy. Fire.
Ready. Moving out. Taking them out. Engaging the enemy.
How much longer will the stream be on? It'll be on until, probably until I win.
Ready to go.
So however long it takes me to finish the GC at this point.
Order confirmed. Destroy the shield generator.
My scopes are jammed.
Which means that we won't have an episode on Wednesday,
Where are the others?
but we will have the start of the New Republic on Friday.
Shield's almost gone. Watch him. He's coming around. Orders, sir. Ready for command, sir.
There'll be
He's about to be destroyed.
there'll be a few New Republic heroes, but we have not announced who they are yet.
TIE Squadron.
I said a bit early in the stream there'll be some like Firmistan, Siansov, and they're mostly people who are relevant to specific periods that we're adding in 2.2.
Ready for command, sir.
We're not looking to pile in even more for like the era progressive ones. They already have so many heroes in that. I'm going to be doing the Back to War.
TIE Squadron.
So it's Era 1, it's New Republic, Zinj, and
Star
Imperial
Destroyer
Remnants.
standing by.
It's a bit smaller, I
Open
think it's like
fire.
40 planets, but there's a few more story events in it.
Attack that target.
You're sort of looking for the Krytos virus, and there's some stuff with like Booster Tarek. We're not doing any new tactical missions until 2.3, so a lot of that stuff will be fleshed out even more later. But you'll see sort of the general
Star
framework for it,
Destroyer
sort of like how
reporting in.
there's the Hapen Alliance
Attacking
subplot
target.
in the Hunt for Zinj GC.
Watch for enemy ships.
Ready for battle.
Over there. And we do need to destroy the shipyard, and then it'll be over. I'll have to build up a lot of Lancer frigates for the last planet we take.
We are victorious.
We are victorious. Don't you forget it. Well, Ghost, it's not so much about adding content at this point even, it's about polishing whatever we feel still needs to be polished or fleshed out more. So we'll continue doing that as long as we feel like there's
Invasion commencing.
some value to us doing it, or like as long as it stays interesting or fun for us to work on the mod, or as long as we have the time available to work on the mod.
Choose your reinforcements.
But it's
We've secured a
it'll
landing
become
zone.
there's some stuff that we do want to add, of course,
En route.
but
On my way, sir.
it won't be so much about doing these giant content expansions in the future.
How can I
Like
help
there's
you?
still some groups and some factions that we'd like to do,
At maximum
but
unit capacity.
that'll be like little side
Skywalker
projects
here.
compared
Commander
to
Skywalker reporting.
reworking stuff. Like 2.2 overall is mostly focused on... Oh, look, they don't want to be here. 2.2 is mostly focused on setting up the groundwork for that. Like, it's a rework version, so like all the GCs
Planetary
are being
control
set up
achieved.
in a new way, and
Building
there's
started.
maybe 3 or 4 other possible GCs we could do, but for the most part we're working on like fleshing out what the mod is going to cover and finishing off what the mod is going to cover,
I'm on it.
and fleshing it out within that in the future. Get these guys going over to Bothawi. 5 planets left. Got the space over 2 of them.
Construction complete.
But, like, there's some stuff like the Siruvi we'd love to do, the Huts we'd love to cover a bit more, some
Invasion
events with some
commencing.
other stuff that we'd like to cover a bit more, which would involve larger amounts of new content. But that all depends
Where do you
on
need me?
how many
Choose your
people are working on the team,
reinforcements.
how many artists we have, the art
Reinforcements
resources
en
we
route.
have,
Moving to coordinates.
and all that kind of thing.
On my way.
So we're essentially trying to set ourselves up in a position where we're able to scale the size and the scope of any given release
Awaiting your
to the
signal.
number of
I
people we have
understand.
working on it, and it won't leave any major holes if there's any
Look, sir,
parts of the
it's
mod that
them.
we're not able to expand in any significant way that we may or may not want to do.
Copy.
We need to get you out of here.
What's the
Luke.
mission? I'm on them.
I copy. On the move.
There'll still be a video on Wednesday, it just won't be this.
Skywalker reporting. Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Ready. On my way.
Transmit the order.
I tend to like to start series
Last
on
mistake
weekends,
they'll ever make.
because if we can have an episode
There they are.
Friday and
I'll get
Sunday, that works out fairly well. Maybe, like, I sometimes like to do it in 3 days in a row.
Area.
So we can have episodes 1, 2, and 3 Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then still have the other stuff that's scheduled on top of that. I usually like how that goes, especially if we're giving a day or two off, or like
Going after
a scheduled episode off between the series, so it's not like just constantly always there.
Going after them.
Choose your reinforcements.
Get some of these guys in, because there's going to be a lot of infantry.
Advancing.
Reinforcement point contested.
I'm with you.
Unit
I'm on it.
destroyed.
Let's go. Artillery online.
Unit destroyed.
Oh god.
Unit destroyed.
Fire.
We've lost the landing
Jerks.
zone.
Jerks.
Fall out.
They're all
troops.
jerks.
Open fire.
Well, at least we landed some stormtroopers
Stay
there.
close to me.
I thought I'd made a mistake, but now
Yes,
it's
sir.
a good thing.
I copy. Let's move out.
Unit destroyed.
Uh-oh.
Reinforcement point contested.
Oh, that's, that IDT is no longer a factor.
Ally.
Enemy spotted.
Choose your reinforcements.
Setting
More
course.
of these.
Maximum
Destination
unit
set.
capacity.
Reporting.
Okay.
Attack.
They're
that
landed now,
target.
we can go kill this.
Attacking target. Fire at will.
Kill them before they get in the
Keep
bunker.
going. This way. Over there. Yes, sir. Roll out. Yes, Commander. Roger that. Order. Acknowledge.
Let me help
It's, another turret, I guess.
Ready for your orders, sir. Deploying. Scanning for enemies. Initiate sweep.
Hi, Hoyle.
Setting course. Changing course. Right away. Moving out.
Bombing run
We
available.
want to do this with... Yes, we may as well bombing run this.
Battalion standing by.
Go over here.
Attacking. Commencing bombing run. Mauler ready. Heading out. Targeting.
That was underwhelming.
Firing.
How can I help you?
Okay. Hostile. Time Mauler. Copy.
Alright. There we go. We're almost ready here.
Ready. I've got them on scopes.
And...
The enemy has been defeated.
Okay. Lost an IDT, so let's have a moment of silence for that. Okay, the moment's over. All of our ground units being mixed in with that Space Force is not ideal, but oh well.
Tactical battle imminent.
Okay. So pretty soon we're gonna have to deal with every single rebel fighter.
Lancer frigate ready. Moving out.
Choose your reinforcements.
Heading to destination.
Code User's been putting all of the
Destination confirmed.
all the new space projectiles on land,
Reinforcements cancelled.
so they should all be the updated version soon.
Proceeding.
We're on our way.
Reinforcements cancelled.
Let's go. Moving out.
We're moving out. We'll be there shortly.
Reinforcements cancelled.
Right away.
If we can leave the station alive on this one, I think we have enough anti-fighter to deal with it.
All done through.
Or to deal with
Yes,
the...
Commander. The lasers
fighters.
are our
Unable
target.
to shake them.
and enough of our own fighters as well.
Awaiting orders.
Returning to the
Weapons
position.
ready.
Choose your
I'll
reinforcements.
take care of this. Tightening up. Excellent. Let's finish him. Watch your back.
On them. Stay in formation.
Getting a lock. Close
Pretty
the
soon I will need to, once I put up the New Republic one, we're going to have another poll for the first time in a while
We're being targeted.
on who to play after the New Republic, because we're probably going to do something like Art of War after the New Republic, and we'll be choosing from all the factions,
At your command.
because at that point I'm going to do the Yavithan one as a live stream on its own, because that's only like a 12 planet GC, so
Reporting in.
Shield's almost gone. Target critical.
that won't be like a series per se, that'll just be,
I got him.
oh look, the Havens are back.
Engaging the enemy.
Fire at will.
They've played such a big role in this GC, so probably good for them to make it one last appearance.
I've got them in my sight.
Yes, Commander.
Squadron standing by.
Locking on. Reporting in.
Oh god, their fighters are really good.
Roger that.
I've got him.
He's about to be
Standing
destroyed.
by.
Cover me now.
Enemies in range.
Ready for you.
Position.
Lancer frigate ready.
Okay, well, let's get this VSD up to destroy that. This is another giant group of...
Form up. Take out the iron.
I wasn't joking. They've been in a lot of, they were a lot of the raid fleets that we came across.
Target is those iron.
They did a lot.
Our target priority is the laser
Target those lasers.
I like the Hapens.
All gun crews report.
Hapens are cool people.
Our shields are down.
Awaiting
Help me out of a
orders.
tight spot.
Full speed ahead.
Destroyer here.
Engaging enemy flight.
He's headed your direction.
Copy.
Ready for battle.
Oh no, Pelion.
Closing on target.
Might lose him to a raid fleet.
Roger that.
Attacking
No, I think
target.
he's safe, actually.
Narrowing
All
position.
gun crews reporting.
Copy.
Alright, let's speed this
I
up.
copy. Fire.
Get that station out of the way.
Form up. Tightening up.
It looks like we're good.
Fire at will.
We are victorious.
Yeah, they're in Hunt for Zinj, their own faction. If you're not playing as the New Republic, they'll be in like Art of War, Essence of War, that kind of thing. There's no more Into the Clusters. That'll probably be re-added once they're their own faction, like as a playable thing if we go that route, which we probably will because there's they're being used for Ascendancy next, so we'll have like a full roster for them at some point.
Construction complete.
But yeah, so they are their own faction. Just
Construction
they're
complete.
one of the raid fleet options, and in most GCs, since they're not present on the galactic map, that's the only way to come across them. But so we've got Kashyyyk, Dasucha, Bothawi, and Ord Pardrin. The Back to War is just the New Republic, the Imperial Remnant, and Warlord Zinj.
Moving out.
Construction complete.
Let's actually leave this here.
Constructing.
Vehicle in production. Vehicle in production.
Building started.
Anywhere we can
Building
that we
started.
haven't already.
Vehicle in production.
Let's just
Constructing
build up
unit.
some Lancers. We haven't decided which fact. There will be at least one playable faction added in 2.3. We just haven't decided which one yet.
Moving out. En route.
There might be more than one. It's just we're definitely going to do at least one. There's a few options. Apens would be a high probability because they're already being worked on, or they're already the next faction we're doing for Ascendancy. So it would make most sense for them to be there. So it might be them and someone else. But it's still a lot of assets to do
Invasion commencing.
for a new faction. There'd need to be like 16 more models.
Choose your reinforcements.
On my way, sir.
Reinforcements en route.
The
Reinforcements
Hapens,
en route.
though they'd have their own space units, they'd be more likely to use some of the New Republic's ground units. Unless we were to do a whole new ground roster for them, which is less
Sensor
likely.
node
Awaiting
constructing.
your orders.
But it's still better than nothing, so...
Incoming!
Commander Skywalker reporting.
Construction complete.
Copy. All out, troops.
That's actually
I copy.
scary. Put the AT-AT in there. We'll have to get everything over here.
Reporting.
Guys, we're gonna
Targeting.
do that.
Choose your reinforcements.
Where do you need me?
Support unit destroyed.
Crap, he got stuck on the thing.
Awaiting your signal. Copy.
AT-AT destroyed. Choose your reinforcements.
Inputting coordinates. Destination set.
At maximum unit capacity.
Yeah, you guys are thinking of Izzard's Revenge, not Back to War. Back to War was when the New Republic wanted to attack Zinj, but
The mission.
Wedge and them were saying, no, we kind of got to go do this other stuff first, it's more important.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Skywalker reporting. Okay.
Luke over here,
Yes, Commander. Let's
who is still
move out.
incredibly overpowered, but
Affirmative, sir.
Transmit the order.
we got a repair platform here.
Repair station constructing.
Reporting. Let's go. Yes, Commander. Yes, sir. Firing! Fire for maximum effect. Let's go. Yes, Commander.
Right.
Construction
We'll
complete.
heal up.
I copy.
Let's get Luke
I'm
in
going.
there.
Ready. Right away.
They always control these build pads
Moving
regardless,
out.
so I'd rather
Heading
leave that
out.
as an
Fall
AA
out.
turret.
Let's move out.
Can't do anything about our
Engaging enemy.
vehicles.
Bombing run available.
Copy. Ready. Keep going.
Nope, you get in
This
here.
way. AT-AT
You, I guess,
ready.
turn around and do
Initiate
that.
Bombing run.
You go do this as well. Yeah, Back to War is with the Krytos virus, and Izzard was in charge.
Yes, sir. Inputting coordinates. Keep going. This way.
Stay close to me. On my
Go
way.
do
Armor
that.
transport ready.
That's the steps on him. No,
Over
never
there.
mind.
Ready to go. Over there. Reporting in. Firing.
I'm here. Understood.
We'll
I'm
clear
going.
the way for you.
Where are
Let me help you.
these?
Be right there.
Luke, go get us a sensor
Right.
node.
Roger that.
Don't worry about that, but these Wookiees are just gonna wreck everything.
How can I help you?
Wrong.
Got it.
Not cool.
I'll help any way I can.
Is it just
Over
those
there,
guys? I
got
think
it.
it's just those guys over there.
Awaiting orders.
Look at the ATSTs.
Bombardment available.
Fire. Target acquired.
Yeah, you guys
On my
die.
way. Scanning area. On the move. Scouting area.
Unit
Enemy
destroyed.
sighted. Let's go. Concentrating firepower. Enemy spotted. Hostiles. Attack.
Okay. What else do we need to kill? Get the sensor array back so Luke's not standing
Form
on
up.
it.
Acknowledge. Always ready, sir.
Not here.
Right away.
Oh look.
Construction complete.
Oh, there's more over here.
Awaiting your orders. Destination set.
Bombing run available.
Target acquired. Copy.
Unit destroyed. Unit destroyed.
Unit destroyed.
Oh god.
Copy.
Wookiees.
AT-AT destroyed.
Wookiees.
Choose your reinforcement.
Everywhere.
AT-AT destroyed.
Commander Skywalker reporting.
Activating.
You guys.
The enemy has been
Here we go.
defeated. System conquered.
I think the
Constructing.
AOTR system works really well.
Beginning
The
construction.
one thing that would keep me away from using it in the same way is that you end up not being able to customize your fleets that much. So it's good.
Proceeding.
It does make it more of a challenge in some ways, but like if you look at what I've been doing in even the Imperial playthrough or the New Republic playthrough or the Rebel playthrough, by the time you're able to build your own fleets and fleet comps,
Construction
it doesn't
complete.
really matter that much for the
Construction
playthrough
complete.
for your chances of winning. It's essentially how well can you use your original forces, and from that perspective, that's what would keep us away from doing it to that extent. Like we have the upkeep costs, we have lower incomes now, and by this point in the GC, like obviously my income's run away quite a bit. But earlier on in a lot of our playthroughs, you can see that I'm still building a bit more, a few more ships, and still having a challenge. And I kind of prefer that a bit more because you do get to choose what you're using a little bit more. But I do enjoy AOTR like for those aspects. It's just a little bit farther than I would take it, or have taken it. Alright, so Desusha, Bothawi, Pardrin.
Construction complete.
Maps are we looking at here? It's the Bastion map. We'll probably take Ord Pardrin last. Desusha is the purple one? No. Desusha has Seleucami. I could have sworn Desusha was the purple planet and Nespis wasn't. But Nespis is the one that uses the purple map.
Invasion commencing.
Copy.
Choose your reinforcements.
Setting course.
So if anyone remembers the map that we've seen like 700 times,
Right away.
like the beach one that you land on, then there's the beach bridge up to the base, and there's Bothans on that map. That's the Cothless map. I think what we're intending to do is use this map that we're currently on for Bothawi, because it's the map we made for Bothawi, and it's pretty straightforward. I've always liked it. It's one of our skirmish maps as well. So I think the plan is to use this for Bothawi, and then use the base game's Bothawi map for Cothless,
Coordinates.
and then have a no Civ version, so one with either humans, different kinds of Civ, or just no Bothans, or nothing at all, as a map that gets used a couple times throughout the rest of the planets, and just cut out that Cothless map entirely from being used at all.
Roger that.
Because I don't love that map. I don't really like that map. But I do like this map, and I do like the base game Bothawi map.
Secured a landing zone.
There's very few base game maps that I dislike, actually.
We've come across enemy units.
Choose your reinforcements.
Alright, so we're going to need a little bit of
Setting
E.
AA,
coordinates.
Reinforcements
On my
en
way.
route.
or we can get some Plex
Unit
as well.
destroyed. At maximum
Amending.
unit capacity.
Awaiting orders. Roll out.
Unit destroyed.
Deploying.
Let's get them in here where they're going to have some more support. V-Wings are a problem.
Unit destroyed.
Right. On the way.
Unit destroyed. Unit destroyed.
Did we actually destroy the V-Wings, or did they fly away? Well, these are all Bothans, so let's ignore them. I don't want to kill them.
Unit destroyed.
I'm more concerned about running into the artillery. I don't want to kill you guys. Turn around now,
Out.
and you can live.
Unit
Don't do this to
destroyed.
yourselves.
Copy.
Okay, there, we found the artillery.
Unit destroyed.
Crap, this is going to be hard.
All right, men, take cover.
We're going to have clear shots here. These tank droids get in there fast enough? They still have their absurdly high speed values. Okay, that's good. There's one. I guess we should just turn around and
Destroy.
not have this happen.
Available.
Yeah.
Destroy.
Choose your
Alright,
reinforcements.
well,
Setting course.
get them in there,
Moving out.
them in there, them in there, them in
Inputting
there, that in
coordinates,
there. That's
destination.
more for
At maximum
away.
unit capacity.
Guardian would be Era 5. Era 4 is just the Dallas stuff.
Unit destroyed.
I copy.
Okay, so they did
They're in my sights. Initiate
that
sweep.
here. Okay, we need to get back to the ATA. Oh, they're all dead.
Choose your reinforcements.
On
At
the way.
maximum unit capacity.
Setting course. Reporting in.
Okay. I think that's it for the V-Wings. These are just Bothans everywhere? Yeah? Perfect.
Ready to move. Setting coordinates.
Start walking up this way. Oh no.
Unit destroyed.
Come on.
Form up.
Ugh.
Moving to position. Roger that. Fire for maximum effect.
Unit destroyed.
Reporting.
Bombardment available.
Get everything
Roger.
over here. Let's not worry about these stupid V-Wings.
Armor advancing. They're in my sight. Armor advanced.
Okay, can we go?
Charge cannons. Providing covering fire. Initiate weapons online. Laying suppressive fire. Armor forward. Providing covering fire.
Alright, I think that's most of their units down. Just hit 2 of their 3 buildings.
Moving.
Bombardment cancelled.
Too far up.
Yes, sir.
Oh no, oh
Changing
no.
course.
That's gonna destroy all of you.
Point contested.
Right away. Let's go. Enemy in range. Providing cover fire.
We've
Close.
lost a landing
Got
zone.
it.
Unit destroyed.
Cannons charged.
Unit destroyed.
Fallout. Firing on target. We'll assist you. Your orders. Move, move. Battalion attacking.
Unit destroyed.
Over.
We'll talk about stuff like the Guardian more when we actually announce stuff for Era 5 and the New Republic heroes and the new Imperial Remnant heroes.
Right away, sir. Opening fire.
Don't shoot the rock. What's he ever done to you?
Commander. Right
But
there.
so far we haven't made any announcements about that stuff, so
Moving out.
we won't be
Reinforcement point contested.
Fire.
saying anything just yet. A lot of that's still in the process of being planned too.
Victorious. Planetary control achieved.
Alright, so there's both of we. Lord Partrin. Yeah, Palpatine should have enough Lancers with him right now that he should be okay. So let's do D'Souza and then Lord Partrin. Pepperidge Farge remembers. I think I just said Farge. Okay, yeah, so D'Souza is supposed to be a purple planet. So that map from Nespis has to be moved here as well. Did it still use that model? Oh, I think it just uses atmospheric effects, yeah.
Gun batteries ready.
I think that's one of the
Choose
models
your
that we cut.
reinforcements.
Move out.
I go.
They're in this direction.
Choose your reinforcements.
En route.
While they're all distracted by bombing Palpatine,
Moving out. En route. Proceeding.
we'll
Moving
do
out.
this,
En route.
this,
Heading out.
Moving to new
do that.
sector.
At maximum unit capacity.
There is a great disturbance in the fog.
They will not live.
Lancer frigate ready. All gun crews reporting.
We're still doing a lot of damage to our Lancers.
Wing commanders report ready. Gun
Pursuing enemy forces.
engaging enemy fighters.
We have it.
Eliminating target.
Engaging the enemy.
Frigate ready.
Getting a lock.
Well, we're actually clearing out a fair amount of them.
Proceeding.
I'm on this one. Let's finish him.
Or they're just spreading out more for their bombing runs, and we're not.
Formation.
Yes.
Intercepting.
Under control. Watch it. He's coming around.
Draw their fire. Sir, I'm on.
No, it looks like we're making progress.
Stay
I really don't want anything getting away from this,
I am in command.
as they'll try to retreat from
I've got him.
this battle and the next battle, and there will be nowhere for them go, so they'll just end up on one of our planets,
Copy.
Closing on time.
and bad things will happen. So I'd rather just destroy them outright.
Gun battery ready.
Watch for enemy ships. Taking him out. He won't be around much longer. Go after them. Regroup.
So it looks like we'll hit about 3 hours, which is, what, 4 to 6 episodes?
Can't switch position.
Nowhere to run.
Under control.
Oh, they're all pretty much wiped.
En route.
No, escort. Rip. Yeah, this is the retreat. Emergency retreat.
Moving out.
It's using the icon for something else right now, but I don't remember what it was.
Engaging enemy fighters.
Force Whirlwind, maybe? I don't know.
En route. Gun batteries, fire.
What do you want?
Lancer frigate ready. Intensify laser fire.
Okay. Looks like they won't have anything to really retreat with.
All gun crews report in.
The enemy has been defeated.
Alright, so we've got, oh, they do.
Moving out.
Construction
Spoke too soon.
complete.
Moving to coordinates.
We can see this whole planet, so we'll be able to know right away. Do we have any AT-ATs left? No, I think they all died on, Kashyyyk. But this is, yeah, this is Lukamai. I kind of want to get...
Construction complete.
Well, we have all these TIE crawlers, so that's good enough. Send them
Setting course.
into here. Get these guys up here. Gonna be our full fleet. Okay, those actually look like they moved some ground units over here. We'll just get the TIE crawlers and then there'll be even fewer things to kill. Yeah, Zabathon, all the factions will be playable in skirmish,
Construction
and they'll all have the
complete.
new units.
Invasion commencing.
Dark Forces took place way before the mod. The Arc Hammer had been destroyed for several years before the mod even started, so we wouldn't be putting in the Arc Hammer.
Moving to destination. Setting coordinates. On my way. Enemy forces ahead.
Capacity.
I guess we may as well capture this as well.
Be right there.
Awaiting orders. Moving to coordinates.
We've captured
Yes,
an abandoned
Commander.
sensor array.
Moving out. In attack position. Heading out.
Crap.
Copy. Commencing attack.
Copy.
Alright, Luke, if you want to go over
I'll
here,
take care of it.
and
Awaiting
ATSTs if you
orders.
want to go over
Heading
here.
out.
The T1, T2, T3, and T4 are already
Ready
in the
for
mod.
duty.
I don't
Copy.
think we'd redo the T2, but
All
the
out.
T1 and T3 we'll probably redo the models for.
Ready for your orders.
'Cause there's nothing really wrong with the base
All out,
games
troops.
models of the
Let's move out.
T2 and T4. Unless we just wanted to make them higher
Copy.
poly, like it's their
Let's
design,
move
so...
out. Battalion standing by. Right
Keep
away.
going.
What's the mission?
Stuff like the Raven's Claw and those specific Dark Jedi just really aren't that high
Reporting,
priority
sir.
for us right
We're on
now.
it.
Like, I'm not saying never, it's just there's a lot of stuff we want to do, and we don't have the resources to do it all. So that's the kind of thing that's less likely to get done just because of
On the way.
prioritization. Prioritization.
Ready.
Unit destroyed.
Reporting. Open fire! Inputting coordinates.
Transmit
Okay,
the
Luke,
order.
you can
May the
do that
Force
as
be with
well.
me.
Ready for command.
I guess we'll have to
Moving
move these guys up a little bit.
I copy.
The faction that the Doomgiver belonged to, Empire Reborn, is just such a minor thing. They wouldn't even really command. They're not even big enough proportionally to control any planets on the galactic map.
As easy as bullseyeing womp
They're like the smallest of the
Yes,
smallest
sir.
possible factions, so it's very unlikely that we'd ever include them.
Time order.
Unit destroyed.
This way.
Empire Reborn is like one of the most requested things, but it's such a minor footnote, such a small faction,
Roll cloud.
it's hard to represent it in the mod in any way without just having it immediately dead.
Scanning for enemies. Bringing out. Attack! Attack!
Like there's the Reformed Empire, which is kind of relevant for some stuff, but
Choose your reinforcements.
Inputting coordinates.
the Empire Reborn was like Hethrir
Yes, sir.
and Doomgiver and Galacfire and stuff. It's
We're
such
ready
a
to
it's so
roll.
small.
Unit destroyed. Unit destroyed.
Well, Jarek was actually associated with the Pentastar alignment,
Unit destroyed.
and he wasn't trying to run his own thing. Like he worked with Kane.
Yes, Commander.
So Jarek makes sense where he is, and like we look for the Warlords, we have tried to find as many people from different groups to associate with them who would realistically have been open to working together.
On my way.
But with Empire Reborn, it doesn't really fit
You'll
with
find I'm
anything.
full of surprises.
Planetary control
Or
achieved.
Empire Reborn. Yeah, Restored Empire is what I was thinking of there.
Got it.
It will be done.
Building under construction. Construction complete.
Right, we have 22 Lancers
Construction
against like
complete.
60 squadrons of fighters, so I think we're good.
Construction complete.
Very well.
Well, really, no matter how many times we explain, or where we explain, or why we explain that a faction's not there or wouldn't be there, people still ask again, so it doesn't really do us any good to do that. Soontir was in the Empire of the Hand at that point, Christian, so he wouldn't really be a New Republic hero.
Gun batteries ready. Moving out. En route.
We've located the enemy.
Choose your reinforcements.
Alright, so I guess we'll throw in the... No, do we want to... Yeah, it's the last battle, so we'll throw in the Eclipse. We won't throw in
Reinforcements
that.
cancelled.
Hold on. What do you
Gravity
think you're
well
doing?
generators
Aborted.
online.
Choose your reinforcements.
Moving out.
Reinforcements
En route.
cancelled.
Proceeding. Moving out.
Reinforcements cancelled.
Yeah,
En route.
it's harder to find spots for them all.
En route. Proceeding. Moving out.
There aren't any recruitable factions.
Falling out of formation.
Reinforcements cancelled.
Draw their fire.
Reinforcements cancelled.
Like, the other thing with the Reborn Empire
En route.
is that the timeline where it was actually doing anything is outside the time that anything else is happening, so it would need its own GC to really make sense, or be shoehorned into the
Reinforcements en route.
Art of War one, and then there's just nothing else going on, and they'd have like one planet. So it doesn't really, not really worth it.
Attack formation.
Gun back. Fire.
Awaiting orders.
The dark side is strong.
All gun crew reporting.
Zero Command is already a faction, it's just not a playable faction. Like, all the factions that we're representing have their own
Engaging enemy fire.
faction, they're just not playable and they're not as fleshed out.
En
Like,
route.
you can't just flip a switch and make them playable. There's a bunch of other work that would have to go into that.
I am ready.
And like, maybe eventually when we don't already have 3 other Warlord factions that we're already working on trying to flesh out, Zero Command would be the next option to make playable. But as it is, we didn't want to work on that many extra assets and trying to make that many extra factions balance, having that many extra GCs to make. So they're a potential possibility for one of the 2.3 factions. It's just they're the most minor of the 6 possibilities we had, and so we never bothered doing it, but they are there as a faction. They're just not playable. Same thing with like Prentiok, with Duel, with not his name, the other guy.
Moving out. Intensify laser fire.
Like there's 5 or 6, just like with the Anti-Meridian sector and Elrud. They are there. They are their own factions. You just can't play as them. No, you can't leave. I didn't interdict them again. Oh well.
Tactical battle imminent.
I think we can do this without going to kill the rest of those fighters. I would like to do stuff with the huts, but there's still a lot of work that would be involved in that, like making all their ships.
Invasion commencing.
Again, with just like with the Siruvi and with the Hapens, and with some other stuff, it's a matter of how many resources we actually have to go around and what we're able to do with them, because there's a ton of stuff that we would love to be able to do that just may or may not be feasible, and there's only so much that we can get done in any reasonable amount of time.
What can I do? Right over.
Like, there's only so long people will be playing Empire at
Keep
War,
going.
and we can't commit to doing a bunch of stuff
Initiate sweep.
if we don't know even how long we can keep working on the mod, or how many resources we'll have to make any given release.
I'll take care of it.
Following your lead.
Awaiting your signal.
Like, it's all down to how much time we have to work on it, how many people are working on it,
Setting course.
how many people actually still want to play the mod in like 2035. And there are some factions that are easier to make than others, which changes our prioritization based on how many people are working on the mod. So, like, even if we really wanted to make, say, the Siruvi, but we don't have the number of team members we need to make it, then we just go down the list to something like maybe Zero Command would be easier to make, so it would be more likely. But if we did have the resources to make it, then something like Siruvi would be a lot higher priority than something like the Zero Command faction being playable, just because they actually bring something else to the table instead of being literally the 7th playable Imperial faction.
Let's move out.
Because, like, at a certain point, there's only so deep we can go down that Legends hole to find new units to make Zero Command or whoever be a different faction than something that's already available, something you can already do in the other Imperial Remnant, Pentastar Alignment, Greater Maldrude, Araido Authority, Warlord Zinj, and technically the Duskin League is mostly Imperial. Plus you have like the Antimeridian Sector, Al Root Sector, Zero Command. I don't think Pretioc's one of them, but that guy that fought with the Araido Authority for a while. But, like, there's so many Imperial factors in the game, and there's only so much you can do to differentiate them. We get a lot more out of putting the same amount or even slightly more work into making a newer faction playable, rather than making an 8th or 9th or 10th Imperial faction. Emperor, there were actually plenty of times in galactic history where Hutts saw the galaxy as vulnerable and decided to attack even during their period, even during the Khajiitic system. It's just usually they found it more expedient to not do that. And there are certain conditions we'd be working into the mod for them to actually emerge as a faction that wouldn't apply if you were playing as them. Like, we've thought in the past about how we would implement this, and it'd be based on how they acted both in the past and later on, when after the Vong attacked and they completely remilitarized, where it'd be if, like, they'd have a smaller militia force at first, and then if they felt super threatened, they'd rearm in the same way. Like, the fact that they kept all of their designs in a place where they could easily use all their resources to rebuild them and the fact that they had stuff like the Conquest of Makeb during the Cold War, where they went to attack the other factions, means that they were definitely open to taking over everything. They just felt it was better not to most of the time.
The enemy has been defeated.
All right. But
System control
with
achieved.
that said, that's it. We win. It's over. Music? No music. Military efficiency, 40. Always good. Conquest efficiency, 100, because we killed everyone. Kill efficiency, 100, because we killed everyone. But that's going to do it for this playthrough. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's coming up for the channel and for the mod. Like I said earlier on in the stream, we are doing the Back to War as the New Republic next. That will start on Friday, and we'll probably do episodes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday alongside AOTR, which is actually ending soon as well, based on how that's been going. So thanks again, everyone, for watching this series. Especially thanks to the people who signed up to do the ship captain thing with the patrons. I'm going to be doing that again with the New Republic playthrough and any future playthroughs. I'm still trying to decide whether I want to do it the way I'd initially described in the video, where it all has to be done before the playthrough starts, and all the text, it's done in like the little quotation text under the ship class, or if I want to do it making like a specific ship for each person who signs up for that. So if anyone wants to weigh in on that, then let me know, and I'll probably go back and forth between different versions. But I think we're going to try it the second way for the New Republic one, but the list will be going up on Patreon for that soon. I'll do a video about what classes are available on Monday, and then we'll also have the poll going up for who to play in Art of War after that. It'll either be Art of War, Essence of War, Imperial Civil War, or it won't be the new one. There's another era progressive GC we haven't talked about yet, but it won't be that one. That's much bigger. So that'll be coming up. The choices will be between all the factions. The Duskin League are getting their own playthrough. That'll be done as a stream, though, because it's a much smaller GC in the Black Fleet Crisis. But yeah, so that covers all of that. So just again, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. Thanks everyone for watching the series. I think the first episode of this series is close to being the most watched video on the channel ever, because it came out around the same time as the Empire at War multiplayer patch. So anyone who was new to the channel from that, I hope you've enjoyed this playthrough. The AI was a little bit disappointing because of how this scenario started off. I tried to recover from that as much as I could using the extra spawn in for the infrastructure, but that only seems to have done so much. So hopefully that won't be an issue in the future playthroughs. I've gone back and I've looked at it again, and like restarting this GC, it works fine. So hopefully that's just a one-off thing. But yeah, so just keep in mind the mod is still in progress. It will be, you'll see some new content that's being done, some new work that's being done in the New Republic playthrough and the future playthroughs going forward. But that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. I am going to go make my throat stop hurting. So thank you again so much for all your support through the series. Thanks again for coming, everyone in the chat. And I will see you next time. Bye. Oh, actually, before bye, as usual, there is a link to the Discord server for the channel in the description of this video, of the stream, and the video version. So if you want to go hang out there, we've made some changes to the server recently. There's a specific channel for Thrawn's Revenge discussion as well as Empire at War discussion. So if you're ever looking for games in there, or if you just want to talk to myself or other TR devs, there's a place to do that. So now bye for real.